Modern Mystic Messages. I'm Teresa, and thank you so much for joining me on this evening's live. Happy Thursday to you if you are seeing the live stream, and of course, if you're catching the replay, no worries because it is timeless. We just like to hang out here and have a good time, and a lot of good information often comes out. So don't think that just because it's not a specific topic planned ahead that won't something good won't come out of it because it always does. So I'm going to give it a few moments to see who comes into the stream and then we'll get going. Welcome in. I see a thumbs up, so I definitely appreciate you there. Welcome in, welcome in. Hey Sage, welcome. And hey AA, how are you? Welcome in, both of you. I'm doing really good. How are you? How you been? Hey Niana, welcome. Good, good. Ever since that day I accidentally made the live stream private, I'd be tripping until people start coming in. I'll be doing tarot live tomorrow morning. I'm not really doing pulling cards for tarot in the evening sessions, but if you want to join me on Anunnaki Oracle Priestess tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, I'd be more than happy to take a look for you. Okay, AA? Trace, absolutely think everything's going well. Appreciate it. I hope y'all are doing well. I ain't gonna lie though, the eclipse energies, I've been feeling kind of, oddly enough, not sleeping a whole lot at night, but just feeling kind of really, I'm literally sitting up, like sitting at the table, falling asleep at odd times and stuff. And so I'm feeling a little tired, but other than that, I'm great. Paul, how are you, dear? I'm doing very, very well. How are you? How are you? Yeah, people acting crazy. Well, I've been in the house still. Like I said, I'm pretty much a shut in. So, and my roommate actually went out of town for a week's vacation. His mother's birthday is today. She's like 82 this year, so he always goes up and spends her birthday, Mother's Day, and stuff like that with her. So I got the house to myself for a week. I've been chill. The good news is I can get, like I said, get some headway on my fast with no real excuses. I'm not door dashing nothing. I did say I was gonna get a couple watermelon though to close out the season because I know that they will become pretty scarce. And Sprouts actually has seeded melons for like $7.99, so I'm gonna definitely get a couple of those. But I don't really count that as going against the fast very much. You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, you're not sleeping right either. Yeah. Oh, for all of you who were in on that lovely conversation that we had a few days ago, yeah, the eclipse vibes are, yeah, I definitely understand. Well, fortunately, several of y'all are getting jobs and things, so I know y'all won't be able to hang in as long as you've been. And to which I say that's fine too, because honey, if I get one, I'll have to adjust my hours as well. But right now, this is my job, and I'm trying to keep it that way. But um, but for all of us that were in on, I guess maybe not the last live stream, but the one before where we were talking about the vision for what we'd like to do when the windfall comes, the next effort and helping folks and all of those goodies. Y'all, not today, but yesterday when I was doing the live stream for the other channel, I was pulling tarot at the end of everybody's personal readings that wanted them. Brittany had asked me if I would pull cards about our situation, what we're manifesting, the things that we brought in, our group intentions, and the soul family's mission, and all of that. And that reading was incredible. It really was. And I did post it to the full moon playlist here. You should see it at the bottom of the full moon playlist. It's a live stream from Anunnaki Oracle Priestess. If you're interested, like I said, it'll be probably the last 30 or 40 minutes or so of that if you didn't want to watch the whole live stream, because I think I live streamed for about 5 hours there, but it's towards the end is the reading for the collective about what we're manifesting and pulling in, and it was wonderful. And then today, as I was kind of puttering around getting ready to record some stuff for this channel, I was listening to a reading from a reader that I was drawn to, and I hadn't been listening to her stuff all that often. Actually, two of them. There were three readings that I watched today. All three of them touched on that stuff, but the connected conduit, the way her reading wrapped around the reading that I did, and for those who are calling in a twin flame or are with a twin and stepping into mission, and y'all are leveling up and all of that. Destiny from the Happy Cancer, those readings went so hand in hand with my readings. It was kind of goosebumpy for real. Hey Lauren, and hey Brittany, welcome. Yeah, I think I put those in there too. On, like I said, if you look under the full moon playlist on this channel, towards the bottom of that playlist, you should be able to see all three of those readings. I'm not sure. Well, I take that back. I'm Happy Cancer had two readings. I have to look after this and see if I put all of them in there, but I did put them. I know I put at least two of them linked to the bot and to here, and the live stream that we did. I linked it as well so that you can find it on both channels. Happy Thursday to you, and happy Thursday to everyone else in here. Like I said, I'm feeling a little like a space case a little bit, but it's not a bad thing. My body is feeling pretty good. Inflammation is leaving. My knees are still a little sore, but not nearly as bad as they've been. And you said you're getting back on your fast. Oh, didn't you just come off of a fast? Didn't you just say you came off of a 32-day watermelon fast, Paul? Be careful with that. Don't get yourself so depleted that you wind up falling out. Are you taking supplements with that or just the fruit? Hey, Cece, welcome. I didn't even see you, darling. Welcome in. I tell you what, too, for those who are in the WhatsApp group, those readings that I was talking about, when we get off of here, I'll share them to the WhatsApp group too to make it easier. I don't know why I didn't think of that before, but I just wanted to let even those who didn't feel called to join the external group, if you were interested in those readings, I wanted you to be able to see them because it is kind of, I love those confirmations because we're, like I said, we're literally, it's not even so much about a whole lot of healing left to do. A lot of us right now, we're healing, buttoning up some personal issues. I think it's more about getting our bodies together than so much spiritual healing at this point. And quite literally just waiting for the finances to change, to start putting these things into place. We got real clear direction as to where we're headed and what we need to be doing, but it's about getting our bodies together and getting the money together to do it. And that's like the last little bit. I do take I take a lot of supplements with mine. It's going to be mostly water. I had said because we're getting kind of late in the season, I'm going to get a couple of watermelon and go into it that way. But other than that, it'll be mostly water and supplements or tea. I mean, I allow myself tea and things like that. And I do have some like protein shakes and like the clear collagen shakes or some fruit juice powders and stuff that I can make no calorie liquids with. But I won't be, after I get done with the watermelon, that'll be it for the solid food. Oh, good, Lauren. I'm glad. I'm glad. Like I say, hang with us as long as you can. I'm gonna be getting out of here at 11 too. I try. We went in. Now watch me mess it up by saying something. So far, I didn't make it subscriber only. We're gonna try to see what happens and let everybody come in and do what they're gonna do. But it's been kind of quiet the first 10 minutes, so we're gonna be quiet. Yeah. You said RV, yeah, and then the sorrow will be soon. But you know what? That stuff has me kind of scary too because when they were talking about Jasara and Nasara and all of that, it made it seem like those who had the funds to be able to invest and stuff would be okay, and those who weren't. I'm just literally gonna have to rely on spirit to do the wealth transfer in the way that they see fit, and I really feel like that's gonna be because I'm hearing too many of the chosen that are in that same boat there was nothing extra for us to be able to be buying all this and investing over here. And I wish I had, but your crutch is coffee. Hey, whatever gets you through. Ooh, see, I can't do black coffee, and that was one of the reasons. I do like coffee, and I had some cream, some non-dairy creamer in here, but there was a little bit of caloric load to that. But then I thought about the chemicals in non-dairy creamer, so I still got some mushroom coffee in there, but I'm just not. I'm going to tea just because. I hadn't heard about the guy saying that there's been a significant increase in abductions to impregnate women with hybrids, Brittany, but I wouldn't be surprised. I don't honestly, they can look at that as a bad thing. I mean, it would be nice if the women were not being taken against their will, but on some level, they may have kind of sort of contracted for that. I don't know. Yeah. Hey, bro, 100. I don't, ooh, I can't do black coffee. I've never, like, I cannot. I'm so sorry, y'all. I cannot. So, and yeah, I can drink it like I said, kind of medium blonde and sweet, but I can't do. Yeah. I mean, I get it in principle what they're talking about, but again, I was a single parent struggling with poverty. I should one of the biggest moments that I kicked myself in the head for was because I first heard about Bitcoin. I think it was about either $9 or $12 a coin, but at the time I didn't understand about crypto and didn't really understand that it was going to be a real thing because I genuinely could have sucked it up and bought some at that point. But I, like I said, I had kids in school and was working, didn't have no support from nowhere. And when I tell y'all, I had zero support system raising my children. I had one piece of sort of kind of sorry half behind baby daddy that would pay some child support occasionally whenever they caught up with him. But other than that, I had no support system. So I just didn't feel like I had extra. It was just a short sightedness of vision. Let me put it that way. I don't want to make excuses. I didn't understand it. I didn't buy it when I could have, and that is kind of my big regret. Unless or until we start hearing from those women that are saying that, though, Brittany, I don't know. Because a lot of the women in the past that have been abducted don't mind telling their story. So unless we're hearing a whole bunch of women falling out the woodwork saying that, I wouldn't necessarily believe that. Because, again, the powers that were and a lot of these radical conspiracists, hey, story time, welcome. A lot of the radical conspiracists want to instill fear. Contact has been happening on this planet for hundreds of years. It ain't no such thing as first contact. We've been had first contact. Contact ain't never started. And they want to instill fear, but let's keep it real. All of the planetary beings that have the technology to find their way to Earth in the first place without burning up as they enter our atmosphere, if they wanted us gone, we would already be gone. So yeah, I haven't heard it, but unless or until I start hearing like individual reports from women, I would probably chalk that up to radical conspiracists because they're still, and I don't know why they still want to generate so much fear. Because God knows the dumpster fire we living in here ain't can't be much worse than whatever aliens would do to us. Look at what considering what our governments are doing to us, whatever the aliens might do might be a reprieve, wouldn't you say? So I don't know why they try to stir up so much fear about the aliens are coming. Please come, y'all, and put y'all boys to rest because y'all gave them too much knowledge and too much power, and they didn't get out of hand. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to them coming myself. Hey, Miss Yates, welcome, welcome, and CC, welcome. I honestly think, and And again, this is my opinion. I haven't seen or read anything on this anywhere. But just like the sons of God lay with the daughters of men, so to speak. Well, maybe not. I don't even think it's going to be a physical mating. It'll probably be more along the lines of John and Yeshua's conceptions, kind of the women just kind of knocked out and taken to a laboratory, and then all of a sudden they're pregnant, but these babies have, because they have now that I 150,000% agree. There is going to be an influx of some incredible children. We're already seeing with the rainbows and the indigos and the crystals and all of that, kids starting to have powers, but you ain't seen nothing yet. When the think Umbrella Academy, them kind of babies, we're gonna start seeing that on the planet. I really believe that. But that's not a bad thing. They're here for a reason. And they won't be given, if anything, the reason the women would be abducted, if you would say that, is because those women have been watched carefully, very carefully vetted, that to know that they are the right women that would be able to bear and guide those children in a loving way for the army of light. They don't want those babies to just be conceived at random and fall into the wrong hands. They're going to have to be, just like, in my opinion, the mothers of autistic children are very carefully vetted before those babies come here. And I honestly think we're going to see that same sort of scenario when you start seeing these very special high powered babies, ultra high powered babies coming on the planet. They said that men are being abducted too for sperm. Yeah, and again, that may be true, but I would like to hear more than one report of that from more than one individual, not just somebody, a bunch of people on YouTube picking up this one guy's information, because one person can say some of anything, but again, if it's genuinely happening to people and they're being plunked down and then being abducted again in 3 months for checkups or harvestings or whatever, it ain't gonna be long before we start hearing reports of that. They'll tell it. The days of people just being scared to speak up is over. What we got? You say you okay with them coming too? Yeah. Exactly. It's gonna happen one way or the other. I just hope. Well, honestly, I don't think I'm, because I used to be worried because I'm older in age that maybe I'm too old. Because when my daughter was brought aboard craft, she was saying that it's mostly children that they were concerned with because they're teachable and malleable. There was an older gentleman. She said when she was brought aboard that there were a bunch of kids there and there were a couple of older people, but I don't know if they were just there to observe or whatever. They didn't really do anything to any of them. They were showing them certain things, and there was a grid. She said that they could. She saw our house on a, like a plan that they had where they had been watching the house for a while. Yeah, they're gonna tell it. They're really gonna tell it. Um, but I hope they take me aboard craft, take me to the med beds, rejuvenate me, make me younger. And if they want me to bear one of their little babies, I don't have no problem with it. I really don't. No, not a succubus energy, Paul. I don't think so. I really think that what's here, because succubus are typically not here for our good. Those are those, like that, those powers and principalities that are feeding off of us, harvesting loose, if you will, or, well, yeah, and a lot of folks experience that energy as a sexual feeling because our sexual energy is very strong. That's like the most powerful um, energy vibration that we emit as humans. Hold on. Hey, Antoine, welcome in. I hope they do, Brittany. Like I said, take these old bones. If Sarah can have a baby, I can have one. I ain't mad. I have Laura Inky's baby. I don't care. And I mean, I say that tongue in cheek, but I'm not. I'm just letting it be known that I'm not resisting what I was shown. Like I said, the second clairaudient message I ever got was that I would be blessed with another child. I couldn't say that to nobody back in the day because that sounds crazy as hell. I heard that when I was 40 years old and my tubes had already been cut, tied, and burned. And I hadn't gone through menopause at that point, and I still, oddly enough, though, I never experienced what people talk about as far as a menopause. I just stopped menstruating, and that was the end of that. The only thing that I could identify with menopause was the thinning of my eyebrows and the fact that my leg hair stuff is very, very sparse now. But other than that, all of the hot flashes and mood swings and all the stuff that people talk about, I never experienced that. So I don't know if my body has been kind of low key being preserved for some upgrades later. And like I said, that's what they want to do. I don't have no problem with it. He said, prayer for me with trilingual Daimoku. May the voice of truth rise like a lotus from the depths, unshadowed, unbound, radiant in its vow. As the sutra declares, this dharma is heard throughout the 10 directions. Let no algorithm silence the bodhisattva's call. Ashe. You said you need to tell me about your encounter. If you don't want to tell it here in this live stream, you can certainly enlighten us over in the WhatsApp group because I get it. We ain't trying to invite none of them interesting people. We're 21 minutes in though yet, y'all. Did you not notice? And I love it. I love it. Oh, you've had an encounter too, Lauren. See, there's a reason why we all kind of gather here, and we ain't regular. We ain't never gonna be regular. We wasn't meant to be regular, and it's all good. And I know you ain't crazy. That's why I say you. It's a safe space to talk about those things. We can take it off of this platform if you want the safety of, not having a bunch of folks doing their thing, but. He said, what type of hybrids do I think might be trying to breed with humans? Menopause doesn't exist in some areas. I'm glad I didn't too, Sage. Oh my goodness. I remember years ago when I worked at the tavern in Virginia, there was a lady there that was going through it, and she was very fair, Caucasian lady, but very, very fair, and she would have hot flashes so bad till she would be back there in the way, and we'd be in the server's galley behind the out, off the server floor, and she would start going into a hot flash, and it would be like three or four of us in there, like fanning her down, ice in the back of her neck. She looked like she would get so red, she looked like she was turning purple, and she was sweat just rolling off of her, and I'm like, oh my god. You said which pronoun do I feel comfortable with? What do you mean? They say alien hybrids. What do you mean which pronoun am I comfortable with? I don't do the pronoun thing. If you start talking about what pronouns I'm comfortable with, the ones I was born here with, I are woman. Hear me roar, like Helen Reddy said. I'm a she all day. That's all I'm ever gonna be on this walk. I'm sure I've been a he in other lifetimes, but here I am a she, very much a hetero she, and I'm cool with that. Yeah. Have y'all seen that short reel where that lady was sitting outside and she started having a hot flash and top of her head started smoking? It's like, oh my God. I'm so grateful that I didn't have to deal with that. My sister had it kind of bad, but she had female problems. She wound up having a medical hysterectomy. Like I think they kept either one of her ovaries, I think she was able to keep, but they took her womb and one of her ovaries in like her mid 30s. So she went into a medically induced hysterectomy. Menopause, and she had flashes, something awful. Okay, okay. You said you woman, hear you roar too, CC. I know that's right. I know Brittany, our woman. Sage, our woman. Lauren, I believe, our woman. Let me see. I think that's all that's in here so far. Oh no, Bro 100 is here. That's a gentleman, I do believe. On it, and Paul, of course. I know he our man. Yeah, I saw that when they talking about declaring my pronouns. I'm like, how about like I said, I want to identify as wealthy, generationally wealthy. Can I identify as that? Yeah. Oh, you decided you don't want a trifling woman no more. You made an ode to the trifling woman. What you had the trifling woman? Oh, the back burner. Was it the back burner blues? Um, you identify as rich and beautiful. I know that's right. I know that's right. But it, like I said, there were so many confirmation in the readings. It's coming. It's got to be coming. It's on the way for real, for real. Like I said, we don't have to know how and when. We just know that it is. It is so. Oh, excuse me. Mm. Everybody in this chat can identify as rich and beautiful or rich and handsome, whichever they prefer, because we're on the way to it. We already got the beautiful part down. We just got to get to the wealthy now. I do. I can't wait till we can actually arrange a physical meetup. Maybe we can do a group cruise or some kind of a group vacation meetup, something somewhere in a central location. I would be with everybody when our finances start coming in, we get it all together. Because we're gonna have to, Myra Hermoso. This is not a tarot session, my love. If you want to have a tarot question answered, I will be on live tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. on Anunnaki Oracle Priestess. I'll be doing free readings there tomorrow morning, but I'm not doing tarot tonight here. But you're more than welcome to hang out with us if you like. Right now, we're just kind of freestyling and chilling, but we might get off into a for real subject here shortly. And welcome to you, welcome here to you to the channel as well. This is a place of love and light, and yeah, I think you'll like it here. Right, girl? Look, I don't even, like I said, I don't know if we're gonna be on a cruise, wherever. It don't matter, because if we once we do that, that means that we done all got, like I said, the finances are rolling in. We're beginning to move as a unit towards some of the goals. Some of the foundations are getting underway. That's kind of like our go time meeting, so to speak. Yeah, I can't wait for it either. And I thought about that one of these days when our family does get bigger. Why not do that? Esther Hicks have an Abraham cruise like every year, 2 or 3 times a year. They go different places. Now, honestly, I don't know how I'd have to get into. We'll you can do group cruises on other lines. She chooses rather expensive lines because that's the way she's used to traveling. I'd like to be on a party cruise. I'm not highbrow like that. I would like for everybody to be able to go without it costing them $6,000 or $7,000 to go on the cruise. No, we ain't got to do that. You say you've been on one? I think it's a lovely idea too, and I want to go on one. But the reason I hadn't been on one is because when I was into Abraham and them, I had minor children at home. I just could not justify, or I didn't have the funds to have, to be able to justify taking a cruise that expensive. I'm not saying it wasn't worth it. I just didn't have it. You said you didn't want to bring up what I feel about Charlie Kirk. I think that's horrible. That anyone would do anything like that to him. Now I'm aware that everybody don't agree with everything he had to say, and I've watched some of his stuff. Some of it I agree with it, some of it's a bit radical for me, but in my opinion, I don't care whether I liked him or didn't like what he was saying. Well, it ain't a matter, well, because I didn't know him. But whether you like or whether you don't like what somebody has to say, it doesn't justify what happened to that man. He had a family, you know what I mean? And but again, these liberal, radical, whatever these, and they supposedly all so every day when I've gotten to the place now. Every once in a while, I'll stop and listen. But when I land on a live stream, and they talking about either side, I think Doc Rich is pretty much the only one who's short reels I listen to. But for the most part, whether they on the pro-Trump, anti-Trump, either side, I just scroll now because they it's just such a sick, twisted environment till it's genuinely disheartening. Genuinely disheartening. Are you said before getting be able to come online tomorrow morning on the other channel, CC? Charlie Kirk. He was talking about Charlie Kirk. Someone, unfortunately, he was at some live event somewhere a couple of days ago, and someone unalived him there. And it's been all over the place, but yeah. Cece, are you going to be able to come on to the other channel in the morning? I'll be on by 11 a.m. Is that too late? It was at Utah University. Yeah, I couldn't remember. If that's too late for you, when I finish the live stream at 11 here, I can meet you up in WhatsApp. I just don't want to start pulling cards during this live stream because that for sure will have people lining up. I've already had 2 or 3 people ask me about pulling cards, and I'm just not pulling cards on this channel anymore. Will you be able to stick around after this live stream? I'm going to end this live stream no later than 11, and then I can do a video call for you on WhatsApp if you like, if that works for you. Would that be okay? Okay, cool. Because it really, I mean, those other folks, they're new subscribers to the channel. They hadn't before. But if I open that doorway and pull them out after having told them no, then it's going to wind up, not only are they going to want a reading, but then as I'm doing your reading, I promise you about 5 or 6 more people are going to line up. And I had just promised the other folks here that I was going to try to migrate tarot off of this channel. You're welcome, dear. You're welcome. Hey, Terry Will, welcome to the channel. Glad to have you in here. Let me write your question down too so I don't forget. Hold on. Bear with me. CC, did your daughter get any hits on a job situation yet, or did she get any ideas for stuff to do? Well, truthfully, she may not even be in a hurry to do that. If she get her unemployment lined up, she can keep her eyes on open for something, but she should be able to get her unemployment with the way that they're forcing her out. And that might actually give her enough breathing room to start her own thing where she may not even have to look for a job if she do it right. Hey, yeah, way my way. How are you? Welcome in. Welcome in. I'm doing pretty well. We've been feeling the energies from these all these energy transits and planetary events and eclipses and full moons and all that good stuff. But other than that, I'm groovy. Yeah, I'm dragging a little bit because of that. My sleep cycle is like way messed up. But like I said, I'm not the lone ranger in that. Everybody that I've talked to so far is having some of those issues. I'm just having to go with it. It's like a lot of the stuff, some of the readings that I thought I was gonna get done, it ain't getting done because I'm sitting up falling asleep at the table and stuff. But I'm hoping that the family will be understanding, and I'll just do the best I can as I can because that's all we can do. You say you waiting to get abducted? Me too, bro. 100. Maybe we. I hope we get to ride out on the same ship so we can have a good conversation while we up there. Good, good. I'm so glad. I just can't even believe. And I hope if she gets the chance to talk to the unemployment people, that she gets the chance to tell them that they tried to do that to her. That was just shiesty for them to try to kind of con her into resigning just so they could say that. So, because I guess they thought her ego was going to cause her to be silly. Well, her ego don't want her to be fired, so she would resign instead of what? So she couldn't get unemployment. No, y'all want to hire somebody else in there, that's fine, but you're gonna pay me half wages so I can sit on my behind and do what I'm gonna need to do and be unstressed and unbothered from y'all. How about that? Yeah, that part. You say you've been falling asleep since 6 p.m. tonight. Thought probably gonna sleep sooner. Yeah, absolutely. May we all be aligned with our highest divine good for sure. Absolutely. I get sleepy like in the early afternoon, well, not mid afternoon, around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and then I'll get better. And then, like I said, it'll be now when I get off this live stream, I won't get sleepy. I won't feel sleepy until probably 12, 12:30 or so. But then when I go upstairs and get situated to lay down, guess who'll be wide awake? That part. Make me no, I'm not dragging my bed downstairs because it's not a bedroom down here. All the bedrooms are upstairs. But honestly, like I said, by the time I get situated and go up there, I won't be sleepy anymore. Yeah, it is crazy how they handle that, CC. But again, we also got that message from her reading that we did that could end up being a blessing in disguise for her too. So I know it's upsetting, but I think it's still gonna be okay for her. Yeah. And I really, again, I don't know, especially considering my maybe I don't know if maybe it's my failed hoop dreams so far, or my delayed hoop dreams. I ain't gonna call them a failure, but I'm just really, really seeing if she can manage to launch whatever kind of business thing. If she can do that, before say the end of October, I think that she could have, if she markets it right, she gonna have to get online. She probably gonna have to create her a page or a channel on whatever platform she's on, what does she chooses, whether it's getting on in TikTok or whatever. But if she diligently applied herself and actually had the money to start something, I think she's gonna be all right through the holiday season for real. I really do. I'm hoping that that winds up being the case for me too. I know Amanda is on her way to getting hers rolling. I think she's going to be doing her thing, and I expect that she's going to have a very pleasant holiday season as well. In fact, anybody that's able to launch, and or if they even if they already have the business, if they're able to get the inventory together and start on their marketing and stuff now, I think that they might see something rather nice through the end of this year. Even, truthfully, like I said, the holiday season will basically be all the way through, say, spring break time of next year. It really, because it'll just continue on Thanksgiving, Christmas, Valentine's Day, tax season. It did, like, yeah. You see, you hope they have coffee like the aliens on Men in Black. Okay. Hey, Keith Stewart, how are you? Oh, welcome in, welcome in. I'm glad you're here. You said, why do you get the rejuvenated night? You get rejuvenated at night around 10 or 11. It's like you just woken up and started your day. You may be more of a night person. I did nights for a long time, and I do kind of sort of, like I say, I'll get sleepy earlier on. And then if I don't go to sleep right away, I'll still, even if I go upstairs and lay down at like 9:30 or 10 o'clock, I typically won't fall asleep until after midnight. So, but it's just been really off. I've been sleeping in pockets and having odd dreams back and forth. Again, I can't. I didn't write down the latest ones. I don't remember for real, except I do remember a recurring theme I had, and I don't even know why this happens, but in some dreams, you know how you have the PP dream, you'll be in the dream and dreaming you got to go to the restroom, and you might go to the restroom, but then a few minutes later you got to go to the restroom again, and that'll happen 2 or 3 times. Every now and then, depending on who shows up in my dreams, the restroom that I'll go in, it used to happen all the time when I was going to my twins' grandmother's house in the dream. The house never looked like her actual house. We'd be wherever we at, but it represented her house. And there would always be water leaking, and it was the plumbing was broken, or it'd be very, very dirty. Now she's very clean in real life. I've never seen her restrooms look like what they looked like in those dreams, but they would be so gross that I wouldn't want to use them. Last night in my dream, it wasn't any person's restroom that I knew of. And if I've had this happen before too, that it'd be a public restroom, like off of a locker room or a shower or whatever. This time it was in a mall next door. It was like past the theater and next door to a restaurant. But I went into this public restroom, and I promise you, it was a good 2 or 3 times filthier than any restroom I've ever seen represented in any dream. And I've seen some nasty restrooms in my dreams. It was so disgusting till I just genuinely didn't even want to use it, but I was had such an emergency state that I was in distress, you know. And fortunately, I did go ahead and wake up before I had to actually use the restroom. But I was like, why do I keep seeing dirty restrooms in my dream? I mean, like I said, I couldn't even. It was so gross that if I had ever seen that in real life, it made me gag in the dream. But if I had seen that in real life, I don't care how much distress I was in, I would not have been able to use it. Period. And I ain't gonna elaborate no further than that. I have literally used them 55-gallon drums sitting in the floor in Mississippi rest areas on the highway as a child. Now that was gross, but at least it didn't appear to be so bad on the outside. But in this dream, it was something like I've never seen before. It's disgusting. You said you coming online? So honestly, I think that's what all these the disruptions in the sleep cycles and all that stuff is. It's just us, we're shifting, changing. Yeah. In quiet places, the dharma is heard most clearly. Yeah. And that's true. I mean, and I think that's one of the reasons I don't really stress it that much, especially since I'm not working a job now. If I had to be up at work, clocking in somewhere at 6 o'clock in the morning, I might be a little more upset about it. Now, these days, since I have that luxury, I sleep when I feel like it and get up when I feel like it. You say you're trying to make moves, but they're not showing you which way would be better for you. We're gonna talk about that, CC. It might be you're not being shown a way forward yet because you may need to be still for a moment and receive some downloads, some activations, some because you said you're trying to do some things with your physical situation. Maybe they want to onboard that first. No, bro, 100. You and y'all ain't getting you Weston, uh, Antoine. Y'all ain't getting no trifling women. Y'all gonna get some goddesses because that's what you got coming. They gonna behave like trifling women. I had a man tell me one time, comfortable women do uncomfortable things. So, behind they what's that saying? Lady in the streets, and you know the rest. So it'll be all good. But like I said, no trifling women. You say you're enjoying herbs now. You sleep, fall asleep, do it while in the live. Yeah. And honestly, that's what I'm waiting. Because this morning I have been doing like some stretching and whatever in the bed to try to work with my knee and free up my lower back and stuff. I think I'm gonna jump on. I need to put it right here in the middle of the floor and get in here and start like doing some stuff with the yoga ball in the mornings. Get I need to start getting up earlier than I have been for sure. Even if I go to sleep late, I can take a nap during the afternoon, but I need to get on up in the morning. Because if I don't like work out and all whatever in the morning, I won't. When I get rolling, I really won't. Oh, spirit be talking to you, CC. That's the veil is thinner in the morning because the world is quieter wherever you're at, and that don't whichever hemisphere you're on, most likely, unless you live in a huge bustling city, and even then, 3 o'clock gonna be quieter than 12 noon. But 3 a.m., whatever corner of the world you're in, it's quiet, so you can hear spirit more clearly. The veil is thinner during those times, so you can get downloads and insights and hear from your guides and all of those good things. But spirit be waking you up to get that good stuff. You be yeah. You sleep 6 hours, wake up, you're six, yeah, and take a nap. There you go. Ajni, the fire god, is the messenger between the realms. The energy rises when the world sleeps between your souls. Listen to the Brahma. Oh, also, CC, everything he said, but you may want to also look up the systems of the body each hour of the night from about 10 p.m. on through the night. Different systems of the body purge and are activated. And I can't remember which system it is that's between like the 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock hour, but you may want to look at that and see how that correlates to your physical health. For example, like one at whatever between like 10 and 11, let's say it's the liver, or it may be the heart system or the kidneys between 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 or whatever. And I don't remember which ones it said that their time for rejuvenation. It's like every system of the body kind of rejuvenates during a certain hour of the night. You might want to look at that. Oh Lord, I ain't putting on no James Brown at 3 o'clock in the morning. No, no. Hey Stephen, welcome, welcome. I ain't even see you there. You wake up at 3:13 every night. Yep. Same thing for you. There's a spiritual reason for that, Stephen, and there may be a physical reason for it too. Well, he's in the Hindu and the Vedic. He's in the Vedic and the Buddhic systems, CC. So you have to. He'll answer you. He'll give you further explanation in a minute. said when you drive to the gym is another prayer time for you. The streets are pretty clear and it's quiet. Yeah. Black Sheep, we're not gonna spam with that. We've already said that it wasn't right that he's gone and I miss him and all that. But I don't think you personally knew him to miss him, so don't bring that in here, please. Okay. It's a time and a place. And respectfully, I'm very sorry for what happened to him. My condolences to his family. May he rest in power. And that's enough said. You say you wake up at 3 a.m. There's a ghost in your house? Oh, Lord. Well, I told y'all how to get rid of them ghosties. So, shit, wait a minute. The Trimurti, a mystic messenger, Brahma, the creator who dreams the universe into being. Vishnu is the preserver who sustains its rhythms and righteousness, and Shiva is the destroyer who destroys illusion and renews the cycle. Together, they are the together they are not rivals but reflections, three faces of the one eternal pulse. Shriti, Sthiti, Samhara, creation, preservation, transformation. Cool, cool, cool. No worries, Black Sheep. We're having so far a troll free evening, and I just would like to keep it that way. So we're just gonna be a little low key on that. That's all. And it's sad that we have to say that, because sad to say there are folks out there, if you express an opinion one way or the other, it does not matter. It's going to bring in trolls. Bring us a topic, somebody. What we gonna talk about today? Oh, after this, I left them private for now just to make sure I didn't get a copyright. Which I still ain't figured out why I got the last copyright, considering I wasn't playing nothing with no music or playing any spoken word or anything. It was doing a live stream or something. But I recorded part 7 and 8 in the Book of Enoch, and they will be going up tonight after the live stream. Just that part. You said you started the Book of Inky. Awesome. Cool, 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 Sage. I love that book. In fact, I may go back and I like watching the animations too. Now that I've read it a couple times, I may actually. Yeah, Shiva is Inky. You see, oh, it was in your Buddhist Hindu research that you came to the Anunnaki. And see, I was brought in backwards. Yeshua brought me straight to the Anunnaki. And then in looking, I forgot how I was looking for something else, and then realized that Shiva was the correlation of Enki, basically an iteration of Enki, if you will. The water bearer. Yeah. I love me some Enki too. Brahma reflects Anu. Now that I didn't know. Let me give her. Yeah, Vishnu mirrors Enlil. I believe that. Except he ain't really no preserver of order, but okay. In the Hindu, they gonna give him credit for that, but yeah, not really. But and Brahma is Anu. Okay. Well, the Buddha holds a lot of Christic energy anyway. In fact, Lord Maitreya is known as the Christed Buddha. So I mean, the tenets of Buddhism are very much about Christ consciousness, because Christ is not a name anyway. It's a state of enlightenment. Excuse me. Christians get that a little twisted, and they call Jesus Christ. He was neither Jesus nor he was Christos, but he wasn't the only Christos that's ever walked on the planet. He was just the most recent one to be martyred. But that Christic energy and Buddhic energy is the same thing. That's one of the things that helped me when I was starting to kind of peel away from Yahweh. I came to realize that part of the pushback, if you will, of Christianity is because they so busy teaching people to search for God. If you try to search for God, you're gonna have a problem because it literally dead ends you with that Yahweh character who is rather vile and violent and misogynistic and all those things. If you search for God in religion, you're gonna wind up with a problem. And it's hard to find him in the Abrahamic religions, not the real one, not the one that Yeshua said is love. You can't find him in the Abrahamic religions. And that's the problem with those religions. People are searching for God. Instead, if you search for Christ or Christos, you'll find Christos in every religious system on this planet. They just overshadow Christos with all that Yahweh nonsense. Christos is about love and light. It's true enlightenment. You say you get more military intel in the morning? Okay. I missed what you had said. I had heard something was going like energetically. There's some kind of planetary alignment or something that's supposed to play out. I don't know if it's something with Saturn or Pluto or whatever, but there is something that's supposed to be happening on tomorrow, the 12th, and we'll probably feel, those that are sensitive will feel it energetically. I don't know if it has to do with the comet, or anything else, but like you say, you'll get more information on it. But yeah, that's one of the reasons I do like the. I haven't gone through the Vedic scriptures, but we may at some point, because, like I said, with them mentioning the Vimanas and stuff, they definitely were more aware of the fact that those that we called gods came from the heavens not as non-corporeal beings, but actual beings that came here in flying machines with advanced technology and weaponry. Yeah. That's the thing that always kind of stymied me about Christianity as well. Every single tradition on this planet outside of the Abrahamic religions acknowledge the existence of star people, all of them. In the Christian religion and all of that, they want to call them angels and demons. But outside of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, every spiritual system on this planet throughout all time has acknowledged that our origins are come from the sky people. All of them. But we take the new kids on the block that come in and say, forget all of that you heard over there. Forget the legends. Forget everything that's in the written text that you done dug up out the ground. Forget all of your ancient lore. Forget what your great, 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 great grandmama. No, we're not doing none of that. This right here is the only thing that we going by. We done told you what it is. We done took out everything we don't want you to know, and this is all you need to worry about. And this is how it's going to be from here on out. And why people allow themselves to be dumbed down that way, I have no idea, but okay. You said you took your precepts? Oh, wow. Cool. Yeah. Well, Stephen, I'm glad you acknowledged that and said that, because that's the main reason I'm here. Because when I became aware of that through, like I said, Yeshua led me to Lord Enki. And when I became aware of that, basically in this time, when I started, the clairaudient message that I received in 2020 was basically Lord Enki handed Enlil his words right back to him. Let my people go. Enki has always wanted us to turn our worship gene off. That's why he gave us the ability to turn it off. We had it installed at Enlil's insistence. But Enki felt bad about doing that. He did it because Enlil demanded it, but he gave us the ability to turn it off. And the only way we can truly ascend is to turn it off and learn the truth. That's why John 3:16 says that he loved the world so much that he gave his only son, that whoever believed like him may not die but have eternal life. That was not a scripture written about Enlil, Yahweh, Jehovah. It was not. It's Lord Enki who sent his son in the form of Yeshua. He sent his son Thoth, incarnated in the form of Yeshua, to try to straighten out the masses and tell them that they was on the wrong track. And Yeshua came and fulfilled the prophecies that they was looking for, and told them directly, you don't know my father. You don't know the one that sent me. You worship your father, the devil. My father is love. My father judges not. You worship your father, the devil. And they hated him so much for telling the truth that they killed him for it. Now, fortunately, they couldn't kill him. Like he said, fear not those who can kill the body but cannot destroy the soul. As a high yogi, he knew how to shut his breathing down and all the rest of that. And he did not actually die during that passion play that they call the crucifixion, but it was his impaling. But yeah, he had to leave town after that because they just was not ready to hear what he was teaching them. You said your inner voice told you to be aware on Friday. I don't doubt it at all, Paul. I can. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I mean honestly, I think we all need to have our eyes peeled from now to the end of the year. I think it's just gonna be one revelation after another, more downloads, more upgrades, more planetary occurrences, more insights and meditation, more understanding from the text and things that we're being led to. It's just always more dots connecting until, and again, I'm not even sure at this point, most of us in this group so far have that kind of an understanding, but I think it's about talking about it and becoming, or continuing to talk about it and becoming more firm in the way to express it as a means. It's basically putting a beacon out there for those that are awakening, because it's going to be a lot. I think there's another wave, like a mass of another part of the mass awakening that's going to happen through these energetic shifts too, that's going to literally have a lot of folks that are going to be waking up like, what the hell happened, and asking questions that we can answer for them. Hey Maurice, if you coming in here to spew some, I don't know. If you want to come in here and learn something positive, I'm not sure what you're talking about, but all right. And you too. Hey Dylan Jordan. You want to talk about the brainwashing mushrooms? That's the whole Christian story. That even the whole Christmas tree thing. Why is it that Santa is the same colors of the what is it, Anamata mushroom, or whatever that, basically the psilocybins. Yeah, the native Australians, they even say they can't. The native Australians talk about the sky people. I think the Samoan cultures talk about the sky people. There's several indigenous cultures here in the U.S. that talk about the sky people. The Hindus have known about them for over 10,000 years. All the rest of that. Hey, Antonio Osborne, how are you? Hey, Glove 300, welcome, welcome. Stick around, brother, sister, whichever you may be. You ain't seen nothing yet. Go to the channel and start reading, looking at some of those uh, talks and things I have on there. I need to start doing some more of that too. Just sitting down and chopping it up and recording those thoughts that I get in meditation, and start looking. Well, we're going through the Book of Enoch right now, and when was supposed to finish that last week and didn't. But then we're going to get into the 12th planet with Zechariah Sitchin. I started it a month ago, and then got sidetracked by the book of Enoch. But we're gonna get back in there because these are the things that we need to know. You know. Oh yeah, they do. Well, and that's one of the reasons, Maurice, that I'm here. And again, I don't claim to have all the answers. I just know when the light bulb came on for me, I was so hurt first, and then I was angry, and then I was like truly flabbergasted, and then I felt an obligation because if I was raised reading the Bible intensely from the age of 3, and it took me this long to connect the dots, I know it's a lot of folks out there that was just drugged to church on Sunday and got a rudimentary biblical understanding that might never see this if somebody don't kind of point it out to them. And different teachers are out there teaching different aspects of this, but not quite putting it together the way Yeshua showed it to me. So I was like, I can't assume what somebody else know. I got to speak on the part that I was shown. Maurice, I got my behind beat learning to read from the Bible. I'm trying to tell you, my mother taught me to read from the Bible by the age of 3 with a belt. Genesis chapter 3, verse 1 got my ass tore out the frame multiple times till I don't know why I couldn't read that verse right, but it got me several good poppings. Stephen, if you've got that kind of non-corporeal energy going on in your house, cleanse your house. You need to smudge your home with sage, sweetgrass, palo santo, whatever you got. Sage is like one of the stronger ones. Smudge your home, and as you're smudging your home, you can put on. This house smudging frequency music on YouTube. Play that rather loud. I mean, you ain't gotta be so loud that it bothers you, but put on those frequencies, smudge your house, and set the intention. Ask Archangel Michael to put a fiery wall of protection around you and your home. Clear your home space, and then put salt everywhere that two walls form a corner in your house. Drop a little bit of salt in those corners. In your room, around your bed, get some hematite and or not hematite. Tourmaline, black tourmaline, or hematite is okay, but black tourmaline would be better, or onyx, and put it around the four corners of your bed. And you might even want to put a little salt around your bed and put a Himalayan salt lamp in your living room and in your bedroom. Get that mess up out your house. You don't have to continue to deal with that. Hold on. Wait a minute, I'm trying to catch up here. Yeah. You said you need to do that too because of what you're going through, Antonio, for sure. Yeah, get that stuff out your house. There's you don't leave. And I'm gonna tell you something. If you have a Christian, Muslim, or Jewish background, you've been taught to pray to Yahweh. Stop it and start calling on Lord Enki for your help and see if them demons don't flee you. Now that I know the difference, when I have sleep paralysis and stuff, if I call on Jehovah out of my knee-jerk response training, it doesn't work anymore. But the moment I say Enki says no, I come up out of it like that. But ask for Archangel Michael and Yeshua to guard you and help you. You said, can you get a one-on-one with me? You can email me at modernmysticmessages@gmail.com, and yeah, we can work something out for sure. I live polar opposite lives of your family, which was religion. They turned their back on you. Come to knowing the closer. You are closer to the truth than they are, and that's why they bitterly oppose you. Maurice. My family think I'm evil. Well, they don't think nothing. I mean, they abandoned me in my mid-20s. But if they were to listen, they won't listen to what I got to say because they declare I'm an apostate and I'm evil and everything else because they can't hear because they too busy wanting to worship Yahweh. And anybody that's anything against Yahweh, they don't want to hear it. They do not understand that Yahweh, Jehovah, Allah is Satan, the devil. They are worshiping the devil and they have no idea. That's one of the reasons they have so much paranormal activity too. Because them saying people don't understand. They think that they're two that there's opposite things, that there's God and then there's Satan. They don't know that they're one and the same. And those same minions that they just set themselves up. Again, it's not I'm not saying that people are they're stubborn, but they're not stupid. They've just been bamboozled. They've been lied to. All of humanity was lied to for thousands of years. And now that those ancient texts are beginning to be uncovered and they're being translated, now we're beginning to be able to look at some other stuff and connect the dots and see, wait a minute. Them brothers and sisters that was telling us that stuff back 100 years ago when the church declared it was all new age mumbo jumbo and it was evil and be aware of false light. That's the one that get me. When they start hollering about the false light, never understanding that Christianity is the damn false light. Judaism is the false light. Islam is the false light. But they be so quick to judge folks and warning everybody about the false light and then coming in there, oh, I'll pray for you. I'm going to pray for you. Please don't pray for me. I done spent a lot of time trying to extricate and separate myself from that demon. I don't need you to pray to him on my behalf to drag me back into the fold. Oh, no, no, no. We ain't trying to do none of that. You say you use brick dust in the doorway? Okay. I never heard of that, Paul, but yeah, if it works, it works. Sage the mirrors, doorways, and windows. Yeah. Honestly, when you smudge the house with sage, though, I would crack the windows so that you can literally take a feather as you're sage, you burning that sage, and you want to start from like the furthest part of your home, and you're gonna bring that smoke through the house, and then literally like bring that energy corner it to an open window, and then chew it out and use your incantations. Let them know it is no longer welcome here. It must leave in the name of Yeshua, in the name of Archangel Michael, in the name of Lord Enki. It must leave. And then salt your corners. Yeah. Hey, Lion of Light. How are you, dear? Welcome, welcome. Is this the Lion of Light that has a channel of about 8,000 subscribers? I can't, is it? I'm not sure. Is your accent New Zealand? Yeah, I can't remember. Please let me know because I've been subscribed to you for a hot minute. I haven't been keeping up on all of your stuff lately, but I believe we got a mutual admiration society going here, sister. If this is the Line of Light, I think it is. You said you always felt the story of the Bible was off a little bit. Yeah, you have to go experiment with the world, which gave you the wisdom to read it. You have to read it differently. You have to. Yeah, and Paul, he was saying walk it all the way out to the porch if you can. Run that smoke out through those open windows and then go to the open door and run it out. Another thing they claim you can do is like get a coconut and roll it all through your house and then roll it out the house to clear that negative energy. Take it to the edge of your property to the middle of a street, or better yet, a crossroads off of that street and then dash it in the street. Do not do that on your property though. You bust it off your property. Yeah, probably from Louisiana. The fact that, because like I said, but I've heard some of them things too. I didn't never do all of that. I try to give people the crystal version of it, but you can do that too. I just like the smudge because I know with sage, there's entities that do not like that scent. Yeah, bro, 100. I had one yesterday. Oh my goodness. We don't have a bad problem with spiders here, but for me, the I don't even know if it's an astral parasite that for real monitoring spirits, but they show up here in my house. We live the condo unit that I'm at is backs up right next to the woods, and water bugs get in my house occasionally. Not a lot of them. I mean, it ain't no bad infestation, but yesterday I was doing I was doing something in here and I looked up and it was literally across from my tarot desk over here by the windowsill, and it looked at me and then it walked over to the other side of the thing and looked at me, and it stayed too long. And I got that window is open, so I shouldn't have even been surprised. I guess it's a crack in the screen or something. I don't know. But it just, the way it stuck around for so long, I knew that it wasn't no regular. It was a monitor. But trust me, I dispatched it where it needed to go. But it just, yeah, it was just crazy the way it sat there and watched me. I don't know about the four iron rods, but anybody, if you do those things that we're talking about and you still have an issue with it, I do have my mentor actually makes real orgone devices. I mean, they call these orgone and they're pretty and all of that. The ones he makes, the ones with the he put the he whatever it is he do, he old school and he makes orgone muffins. I lived in an old house in Virginia that I didn't know was haunted at first, but it was haunted. The kids was complaining about hearing people walking up and down the stairs when wasn't nobody in the house but them, and doors slamming. And one time it was like in the summertime, the air conditioner had broke, so the thermostat said it was like 90 degrees in that house. And yet a cold breeze went across the back of my neck without the air conditioner on. And that's when I got in touch with him. And I'm like, no, 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 we got to do something about this. And he made me a set of muffins, and I put them at the four corners of that house, and the pyramid for it went up in the attic to the highest point on the house. And I put a salt lamp in my room, shifted the whole energy of the house, and we ain't had no more problems. It really got trying to kind of trip me out because I never saw anything. I didn't hear the walking and all that, but my daughter said one night a little girl was standing at the foot of her bed. She said her name was Anna and asked her if she wanted to play. And I'm like, oh no, Anna, you got to take your ass back where you came from. We don't do that here. And I went and got them orgone devices and we got rid of them. We didn't have no more problems. But I also understood kind of how that happened. Right outside our house, there was a jumble of electric wires. Down the street, there was an old house that was I think it was like the first black attorney in Virginia or something lived there. And his wife was said to have died in that house. And they give tours and all of that. And they said that house was haunted. But somebody got killed in the house that we lived in too. And right outside of our house, there was a huge knot of all kind of jumbled up wires where the power company had did something weird. And I know that they had to draw in a weird energy signature. It's like it opened a portal right there at our house. You say you put copper wire in your garden to amp up the frequency to make the plants grow. Yeah, I would be afraid of putting just the plain iron rods, though. I mean, it might serve as a lightning rod, but I don't know. Yeah. But honestly, if you do the stuff with sage in the house and the salt and actually invoke the assistance of Archangel Michael and Yeshua, I don't think you're gonna have no more problem. You can get rid of them. The main thing they mess with folks is on the edge of stuff, and especially if you just kind of still sort of in the process of turning off your worship gene and trying to sort out the whole Enlil, the Yahweh Inky thing in your head, if you still low key halfway worshiping Yahweh, then try to pull away, it can cause some of that stuff to kind of stick around. Yeah, I understand that, but it can also wind up being a little bit of a lightning rod too if you ain't careful. But like you say, if you need to, do it. Line of light, are you still here? I was waiting to find out if you were who I thought you were. I was hoping you were. Yeah, you can draw bad energy, but sometimes energy hangs around, Paul. Like I was saying, that old house that we moved into, there was a lady that was murdered there. There was another house down the street where somebody died. But the thing that really let me know that it might be a bit of a portal was because of that jumbled up, that mess of electric wires outside of our house. It creates a frequency disturbance that very well could have attracted some non corporeal energies or entities that who knows what was going on with that, because if you would have had to seen it. I've never seen wire. I couldn't even believe they left in wires looking like that. It literally looked like somebody had just balled up a bunch of stuff. It was like all of the power lines and it all converged right outside our house around that pole, and it was just, I'm surprised it didn't cause something to arc. You said, have are the books that I've mentioned on your on my playlist? The Lost Book of Inky. Yes, it's a separate playlist here. I tried to separate stuff out to make it easy to find. The Emerald Tablets are a separate playlist, CC. And now that I'm doing the Book of Enoch, that's a separate playlist. When I get into the 12th planet, that'll be yeah. We're gonna keep them all as separate as far as the books, because I'm trying to break them down into doable chunks. Um, I know when you're busy, like you said, the idea of digging into an hour and a half long recording can be kind of daunting. So I'm trying to keep the sessions for those books at 30 to 45 minutes if I can. Unless I get a particularly long chapter in the 12th planet or something, I'm gonna try to cover a chapter at a time in the 12th planet. But for the most part, I'm trying to keep it in, like I said, lunch break size stuff to listen to. That's weird. I got stuff disappearing, but I didn't. What in the world? Oh, Antoine was revising something he was trying to write. Okay. Yeah, but I don't even consider it fighting entities, Antoine. It's about doing what you need to do to get rid of them. No different than if you had a rat infestation problem or a roach infestation problem. If you know you got negative, non corporeal entities hanging around your house, you need to figure out what you need to do to get rid of them. That's all. Because you can shine all you want, but the more you shine, especially if you're being called out of Yahweh's world and they don't want you to, because you got to remember, we're not regular people. They hate losing us to the light because we're going to teach other people. And sometimes they will come out in force and attack those that are trying to extricate themselves from that darkness and move into the light. Yeah, you do claim the house is yours, but like I say, you do what you need to do. It ain't enough. It's nothing to be afraid of, and I don't even consider it fighting. Like I said, I consider it spiritual hygiene. Just like if you had a rat or a roach infestation, you would do what you need to do to get rid of it. The saging and the salting and the laying your crystal grids or your mother-in-law problem. I can't help you with that. You gonna have to choose a better wife. Honestly, if you got a problem with your mother-in-law, you probably got a problem with your wife too, because she raised them. I ain't trying to be funny. I'm just being real. 9 times out of 10. Now there are some women that genuinely got a dragon of a mother and they still turn out sweet, but that ain't the majority of them. What's my opinion on elemental spirits like gnomes, fairies? Are they just myths or nonfiction? I don't think so. Too many people been writing about them for too long for them to be entirely fiction. I think they're a different life form. Think about it. Like the Anunnaki came here, we call them the Anunnaki and we think of them as one race of being because we gave them a blanket term. But the term Anunnaki is a blanket term. It just means those who to earth from heaven came. If Lord Inky is beautiful and blue or dark or whatever color he is, and Thoth is part man and look like part bird with the bird hood and all the rest of that stuff, why would we not think that potentially we could have been visited here at some point by people that look like little people or people that look like dwarves and gnomes or what have you? And the elemental spirits, we got powers and principalities. Why would we not have elemental spirits? There's a lot of stuff here that makes this whole show run the way it do that we don't know nothing about. We may not, but I don't think it's just myth because it's too broad spread considering we didn't have the internet and mass communication. It's too many cultures that talk about it over too many thousands of years for it to be completely fiction, you know? People that live in Ireland will tell you that little people exist for real. They respect them greatly. People that live in Scotland will tell you they exist and they respect them highly. As long as you respect them, you'll be all right. If you don't respect them, it could cause you some problems. Same thing with like the tree gnomes and stuff like that. Now, whether they're AI images or not, I've seen some stuff recorded that made me wonder if it wasn't real as far as gnomes and stuff. So, or like the fairies, like tree fairies and stuff. You said your girl is good. Okay, you just got a mother-in-law infestation. And truthfully, the elemental spirits, I know for me personally, I know they're real because, like I said several years ago, I connected with the spirit of a storm during a hurricane and helped shut it down. Now, people can believe that or not if they want to, but I know it happened. That storm did not behave at none of the meteorologists that were reporting on the storm foresaw it doing what it did after I asked it to do what it did. It wound up doing exactly what I asked it to do in a rather quick time frame. That storm had been churning for 4 or 5 days, and after I talked to the storm and asked her to go, that storm had came up and four more were out there churning along, like coming up behind them, and all five of them storms shut down in less than about 12 somewhere between 12 and 16 hours for all of them to shut down to tropical storm wind level or less, and within 24 hours all of them were gone. So I think the elemental spirits are real. I just really do. And I don't know if I talked about it before. I think I've mentioned it before on the channel. I had a instance. I was like super connected. I was out there doing my thing, breath work and the meditation and keeping my energy up and exercise and all of that. My energy was in a super good place for a while. And I was visiting. Well, I was staying with my son for a little while to help with my grandson. And for about a week, behind his apartment, I was allowed to see the faces in a stand of trees. It was like 5 or 6 trees around that compound. And for about a week, I was able to see their faces. And they all look different, but I was able to see them. Oh, okay. So you were just making a general statement about mother in laws. I got you, Paul. And I'm sorry for her loss, for real. Antoine, you said that the air spirits, well, the celestial, okay, similar to the Nagas. I believe that too, because again, in 2020, when I was out there doing that thing, I was hearing, well, part of what I was hearing was the sound of the planets. But for a time, I know I was hearing the music of the spheres too. And if it, unless it was the angels doing it, it would have had to have been something that, like I said, the air spirits, because there was no. I lived in a part of St. Augustine that didn't have like the clubs and all bebopping, and this was during the shutdown, so for sure wasn't nothing going out at night, and it wasn't a radio from 2 streets over or none of the rest of that. It was a very, it was like meditation music, but it was all around. It was in the air, and it would come roll in, like I'd be out there 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning meditating, and I could hear it even over the ocean breeze that was coming, the waves or whatever it was coming in. They Paul, they talk to me telepathically, kind of, but not actually talk to me, but they just reveal their faces to me so I could see them. But in meditation, it was like I felt their love and had such an appreciation for what it takes for a being to decide to come to this earth and incarnate in something that, for all intents and purposes, other people to be an inanimate object, because they've chosen a life form that they're going to spend their entire life rooted in one spot. And at the end of that life, they're going to die a slow, probably painful death, with either old age and animals and fungi and things degrading them until they die, or they'll get caught in a fire, or they'll be chopped down and turned into firewood or houses or whatever. But they do that to come here and hold down this environment so we can breathe. That's a labor of love for somebody to choose to spend a couple hundred years a for a consciousness to choose to spend a couple hundred years standing in one spot for our benefit. Antoine, excuse me, I completely believe that they're not random. And I can't remember what I was reading one time. It wasn't in the Vedic or even in the Buddhic information at all, but it was talking about the different elementals and how, as much as it hurts their heart when, like, it hurts their heart to make like GMO that foods grow, the ones that are not here for our highest good. It really do, but they still have certain planetary laws they abide by, so they cause those to grow too. But the storms and stuff that build up on the planet, it was saying how that there's an energy build up from our negative thoughts, our negative actions, the things that we do. So you think about all the wars and things that are being waged on the planet, and the greed and the violence and the things that are done, that violent crimes against people on the day-to-day basis. all of that negative energy builds up somewhere and it's going to be expressed somewhere. Energy is never lost, it's only transferred. And sometimes it plays out in catastrophic storms on this planet. I said they are not random, they're driven by entities. Some humans, I said storms are not random, they're driven by entities. Some humans can commune with them. The Lotus Sutra names these beings Garudas, sovereigns of the wind, Nagas, guardians of the water. They are not myths, they are sentient forces moving with karmic rhythm and flow. I believe that. Honestly, I think, yeah, it happened earlier too, because I don't have a cold, but all of a sudden I was having issues. I got some water here. I gotta get me some more lapis too. But yeah. I believe tornadoes could be as well because, like I said, that hurricane when it was happening, I was sitting in meditation because like I got trapped in it. We were supposed to evacuate for the storm, but my ex at the time had to work. He worked at a hospital, and we were on our way out of town. He got a call in saying that he had been named on the team that had to stay. And if he didn't, he was going to lose his job. So he went in to work. He was going to be safe at the hospital one way or the other. And my daughter and I wound up staying at the condo. And I spent most of that time in meditation. And during that storm, I was kind of communing with some of in the spirits of those who had transitioned in the storm. And I heard very clearly, ask the question, but ask it in the right way. And I literally started talking to the storm. So spirit showed you once how a tree which fell was used to target someone's house and her room. Oh wow. That's wow. And it probably hurt that tree's heart to even do that. Hey Nacy, I stream by going on here I'm on YouTube. Aren't you on YouTube also? I'm using my phone. If you have I think you have to have 50 subscribers and then YouTube will allow you the green light to do so. If you go on your channel at the bottom of the channel page, right in the center of the channel, what do you mean? What do I go on? I'm trying to tell you, once you have 50 subscribers and YouTube gives you the green light to allow you to allow you to live stream, when you up at the top, you'll tap where it says my channel or your channel. Tap there so you can see your channel view. At the very center, at the bottom of the screen, you should see a plus sign. And when you tap that, you'll have the choice to either upload a video, a post, a live stream, or I think make a short reel or something. Hey, Valerie, what's up? Welcome, welcome. How you doing today, love? Oh, you're welcome, Nacy. I hope all goes well with you and happy streaming to you. Hope you'll stick around with us for a while too. Mm. You said out of nowhere he has what looks like heat bumps or a rash all over his face, no itching or soreness. He's getting a head cold. What could it be? Does he have any kind of food allergies? Any milk allergies or anything? for the past 4 days. Ooh. With the cold, is he like seriously coughing or is he just congested? You haven't fed him anything different. But is he eating any dairy? No? Okay. I don't know. He could be developing a sensitivity to something. I mean, if you're not giving him any dairy, I've never heard of sugar breaking nobody out in a rash, but I'm trying to think of what could be. And you say he's not itching with it, he just has the rash. That's some true. Is it possible that you changed any laundry soap or anything? Hmm. I guess as long as he's not too uncomfortable, I would just continue to watch him and see. But he may be becoming sensitive to something. That's racking my brain though, honestly. I mean, it's been a minute since I had kids, but I got, I don't know. Yeah, if it continues, wait a minute, and he's 10, right? You say he's 9, 10, something like that? 9. Could he be getting acne early? Now, I don't know about the cold part. Excuse me. But I'm wondering about that. It's not acne? Okay. Yeah, it could be an ascension symptom. And I was thinking that too. Uh huh. Appreciate you, Meheretu. We've been talking. I know who Yeshua is and what he did. He did not die to save us from our sins, or not from anyway. Bless you too. He died because people didn't want to hear what he had to say, and they cooked that lie up and laced him in the middle of it to trap all of humanity into a blood ritual and black magic in the name of Christianity. That's why Yeshua died. But know what you talk about, Meheretu. I'm saying me here to get at you. That's what it is. Okay. See, and again, you don't know what you're talking about. You here to get at you and can't even put it there. But know what you're talking about when you here to get at people. Know that. Mhm. Hey, little Ed, welcome, welcome. The setup, your grandmother was organizing fundraisers at church, supposedly for the youth to go on a trip, but there were too many and the energy felt off. In meditation, while praying for her healing, the dots connected. She redirected sacred offerings to cover her personal bills. That misalignment created a karmic ripple. Wow. I promise you, I believe in Yeshua, not Jesus' name. Those that's busy calling on Jesus' name in the name of Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah, they think they're going to be saved. And in the end, Yeshua said, in that day, they'll say to me, Lord, Lord, didn't we perform many powerful works in your name and expel demons in your name? And yet I'll say to them, I never knew you. Get away from me, you workers of iniquity. So you need to know what you over here. Don't be coming over here spewing salvation at me here too. You have no idea what you're doing or talking about, but I do. Trust and believe. Been there, done that, got a t shirt. And then I woke up and learned better and came out from under the lies and the deception that is Christianity, dear one. That's why I'm here teaching to help people be able to see the light because they've been lied to and bamboozled by none other than Satan the devil. His greatest tool is convincing y'all that he was an angel of light when he's in truth an angel of darkness. People do not understand because the church will not allow them to read the ancient text that's thousands of years older than the Bible. That when he first came here, that one they all call Yahweh, Jehovah, his original name was Enlil, but he done had a bunch of other names. But his title when he was here was Satan of the Eden. Yahweh, the Yahweh in the Bible, Jehovah in the Bible, is the same Satan, the devil, that's in the Bible. That's what Yeshua was trying to tell the Jews when he told them, you don't know my father. You worship your father, the devil. And they were so mad about him telling that truth that they unalived him. They delivered him up to the Romans because they knew he was most likely the Messiah, but they did not want to listen to what he actually had to say. So they had the Romans put him to death. And then 300 years after the Romans unalived him, the pagan Emperor Constantine, who was a sun worshiper of the sun up in the sky, created a religion that brought in a little bit of the beliefs of all the popular religions of the time, and they plunked Yeshua smack down in the middle of it, that crucifixion story, as the so-called savior, because it was a popular story and there were some folks that still believed in him. They used him as a bridge, and it's such a bit of hypocrisy that they killed him and then turned around and used him as a mascot to promote the same demonic God that Yeshua was trying to preach the Jews away from. That's the irony and hypocrisy of Christianity, me here too. Deuteronomy say any man hung from a tree is cursed. Paul turned around and said, oh, it was wonderful that Jesus bore the curse for us. But Yeshua told people that after he was left off of this earth, that a great deceiver would come that would lead the nations lost for thousands of years. And then right on schedule, along come the Apostle Paul and wrote 90% of the New Testament 100 years after they unalived Yeshua off the planet, and basically telling them, forget what Yeshua said. This is the way we're going to move forward now. You're to worship Jehovah. We're calling him Jehovah now. He ain't going to be Yahweh henceforth. We're going to roll him out as Jehovah. Same God, different name, and here you go. And got these people worshiping the very same satanic demon that Yeshua gave up his life trying to teach them not to worship. Extreme irony and blasphemy. Me here too. No, don't believe in the Son, Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That's another bunch of pagan nonsense. There is no scriptural basis for that. At best, you can only tie in two factions at a time. The idea of a Trinity, the very idea of a Trinity, is a pagan teaching. If anything, it should have been the Father, the Mother, and the Son. How you going to slap the divine mother, the mother of God, out of it to have the Holy Spirit be something you're supposed to worship in and believe in? You need to go somewhere and open your mind, brother or sister. You have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm trying to drop some knowledge here for you. No, it should have, if it were going to be a pure Trinity, little Ed, it would be the Father, the Mother, and the Son. Because according to Christianity, we're supposed to be worshiping Yeshua, even though he told people do not worship him. But Christianity says, forget what he said, we're going to worship him anyway. But it should have been the Father, the Mother, and the Son. The concept of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost is pagan concept. Hey, big guy Dante, how are you? Yeah, exactly, Miss Yates. It's only men, because Christianity, Yahweh is a very misogynistic, violent God who had no regard whatsoever for women. Jewish women couldn't teach or preach or pray in the synagogue. When they came through Africa, they blinded all of the oracles of Delphi and ran them into the desert. Muslims made they women get back way back, and if they really don't like what you got going on, it's perfectly fine for them to set you on fire. And then Christians, they not quite that oppressive, but when Christian women can't preach or pray according to the scriptures in the temple or the congregation either, unless her head is covered and there's no other spiritually qualified men around. So all of those religions are very, very misogynistic and oppressive to women, all of them. Me here too. That's what I've been trying to tell you. Jesus, Yeshua, not Jesus. There was no J in the Hebrew language. The word Jesus means hail Zeus. Zeus is one of Yahweh's names under the Greek pantheon. So that is not the way to the true Father. Yeshua is the way to the true Father. And Yeshua told the Jews that the Father that they worshiped was not the father that he worshiped. He said his father was love. He told the Jews that their father didn't have no truth in him, that he was a liar and the father of a lie. Let's read that. It's been a minute since we read John 8. So let's get in here and read that, shall we? I got my Bible right here. Keep it with me on the table for occasions just such as these. John chapter 8, and we're going to start over here at about 42. Yeshua said to them, if the Elohim were your father, you would love me, for I came from the Elohim and I am here. I came not of my own accord, but he sent me. Why do you not understand what I say? It is because you cannot bear to hear my word. You are of your father, the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth because there is no truth in him. When he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of the lies. But because I tell the truth, you do not believe me. Yeshua was not talking to the Pharisees or the Sadducees. He was speaking directly to the Jews. The Jews worshiped Yahweh. That is the same being that became Jehovah during the remix after they unalived Yeshua, because he was telling this very fundamental truth. His entire ministry, he was running around telling them, you got it wrong. You're worshiping Yahweh. Yahweh is a storm god. Yahweh is the destroyer. Yahweh is known in the Gnostic text as Yaldabaoth, the dragon. But his title, when he got here from Nibiru and came, set foot off this planet, his title was Satan of the Eden. He is Satan, the devil. And Yeshua told you that in this book. But because you listen to the preachers and the pastors instead of reading for understanding, humanity has been hoodwinked and bamboozled and led lost for 2,000 years or 1,700, because Christianity didn't even become a religion till 300 years after they unalived him. So if it really, really was the truth, why did it take 300 years for them to organize it into anything? Me here too. Yeah, that part. They got y'all worshiping what you do not know and do not understand. And even in the book of Revelation, it tells you Yeshua said he will come back, and him and Michael are going to bind Satan, the devil, that Yahweh character that's running around now as Yahweh and Jehovah. Revelation chapter 20 said that he will be let loose on humanity for a time. He'd be bound for 1,000 years, then he'll be let loose for a time, then he'll be let back out to do his worst, and then they'll destroy him. And after that, in Revelation 21, it tells you that Yahweh, that Yeshua was Elohim. Yeshua was Elohim. In fact, I'm gonna go to Revelation 3. We're gonna get here. Revelation 3:12 says, though the one who conquers, I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God. Never shall he go out of it, and I will write on him the name of my God and the name of the city of my God, the new Jerusalem, which comes down from my God out of heaven, and my own new name. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. That is Revelation 12 and 13. Now, when we go over here to Revelation 21, after Satan, Yahweh, Jehovah, them been bound and destroyed in Revelation chapter 20, you get to Revelation 21. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and God will be with them as their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more, neither mourning nor crying, nor pain be any more, for the former things have passed away. That is not Yahweh. Yahweh hated humans, always hated humans. He hated humans in the Anunnaki uh, pantheon when he was Enlil. He hated them in the Babylonian epic. When we go back and read the Enuma Elish and Atrahasis, the entire, all the way through all of those works, Enlil was calling for humanity to be destroyed. He was mad as hell when he found out that we survived the flood. We only survived the flood because of Lord Enki, not Enlil Yahweh. Christians do not understand how those people have deliberately mistranslated and scrubbed the names from those ancient texts in order to flim flam and bamboozle humanity. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay, Paul, I see you. Christians took the word of the Antichrist and rode out with it like it's really doing something, and then had a nerve to be haughty and looking down on people because people are starting to wake up and not wanting to continue to follow the Antichrist's teachings that lead them to worshiping the devil. And the thing that really gets me, people understand. A lot of folks don't want to rock with Catholicism, but Catholicism really is the beginning of Christianity. So if you rock Christianity, Catholics is the ones that gave you the Bible and all the rest of that stuff. Christianity and Catholicism, that it began right there with Catholicism. If you go to the Vatican, Catholicism, you'll see the satanic Luciferian nature of that religion. It's not an eternal God, Yeshua. Me here too. Again, that is your Christian brainwashing. I'm trying to help you wake up and smell the coffee before it's too late. But do you, boo, because you ain't gonna convince nobody else of that. And if you really believe that way and you're not trying to hear what I've said over the last 10 minutes, then carry yourself on. Because there's nothing here for you. Because I'm definitely not gonna go back to worshiping the devil just because you choose to, because you too blind to wake up and see what's going on. I actually am a follower, a servant of Yeshua, big time. The reason I'm doing what I'm doing is because I am linked clairaudiently with Yeshua's energy. And he has told me he was the one that helped open my eyes to the truth. It started with me hearing in meditation, they delivered him up to the Jews. They delivered him up to the Jews. And I had to sit with that and think, who is they? And then when it dawned on me, the same they that killed him is the same they that wrote this whole religion, I had to start looking a little deeper and see the truth instead of continuing to believe the whitewashed nonsense that people want to give us. Exactly, John 3:16. Enki's gift was wisdom, not to bind us, but to lift us closer to the divine, to help us wake up. Just like Thoth said in the Emerald Tablets. He was called the Son of Man too. Thoth was known as the Word, Yeshua was known as the Word. Thoth was known as the Son of Man, Yeshua was known as the Son of Man. Thoth was known as the light of the world, Yeshua was known as the light of the world. And the mission of both of those beautiful beings, whether it was a different same being reincarnated as another being, or whether it was two, the mission for them was to help humanity escape the lies and deceptions of Enlil and those demonic entities who followed him and brought us black magic and lies and subterfuge to help humanity's consciousness be able to ascend out of the pit that Yahweh dug for us. So if you want to stay in the pit, get me here too, stay there. But not here, boo. Not here. We here to awaken and rise up out of that because we want to be Like you say, if they do, whenever, ain't no if it happens in our lifetime, we want to be prepared. And even if it don't happen in our lifetime, we want to awaken in a sense so we don't have to keep churning and burning through this whole reboot cycle here, being stuck. That's where the light is, darling. And I say it with much love. I'm not angry, but ain't nobody on this channel going for that nonsense. I'm here to teach and help wake folks up and enlighten. So if that ain't your time, that ain't your bag, you might want to go on about your business. But Yeshua never told nobody he was anybody's capital G. He told people do not worship him. And Christians turned around again in that they want to be sincere. That's the part that angers me so much. People get into Christianity for love of Jesus, and they do not understand the hypocrisy of aligning themselves to the same religion that unalived Jesus. And then the religion turn around and tell you he needed to die for our sins. That's a lie. He needed to die because they wanted to keep that blood curse going. That's some Yahweh mess. You've been doing some research, John 3:16. I'm about to say, because you had a different story for a minute. When you first came into the channel, you felt a little bit like me here to got you or get at you, whatever. You felt the same way. And I invite anybody, don't take my word for it. Please don't just take my word for it. Hear what I'm saying and then go do your homework. And then you can come back and thank me if you'd like to. Because Christianity is way harder than enlightenment ever had to be. You got to do so much mental gymnastics in the name of Christianity. It's not even funny. And then at the end of the day, here's the kick in the head that most Christians don't get. Even Paul told you, go read Hebrews 11:40. Hebrews is a beautiful dissertation on the nature of faith. And in that, he defines faith as the assured expectation of things hoped for, the evident demonstration of reality, though not beheld. Sounds good. But after that, he goes all the way down the line, naming all of the men and women of old in the Bible who went through all of their heroic acts of faith. The nightmare that Yahweh let Job go through, lost 10 of his children were killed, lost all of his lands, all of his livestock, all of his money, and his friends turned around and heckled him for almost 2 weeks straight, convinced that he deserved to be tortured the way Yahweh allowed him to be tortured, just to prove his faith. Abraham had to wait 25 years to get the promise of a son given to him. And then after Yahweh finally gave him that son, in order to prove his faith to Yahweh, Yahweh had that man under the stress of believing he was going to have to take his son up on a mountaintop and cut his throat. That's the nature of the violent, bloodthirsty God y'all chose to serve, the nation of Israel. He promised them deliverance from the promised land. And ironically, he promised them the same promised land that he had promised Abraham and never gave him. 500 years later, he promised it again to the Jews after he promised to bring them out of Israel. And the moment he got them out of Israel, because he had abandoned them at the foot of the mountain and they didn't know whether he was coming back or not. And they got scared and went back to worshiping Moloch that they had been worshiping while they was in Egypt. They were not worshiping Yahweh at that point. And he got so mad about that he threatened to kill the entire nation of Israel right at the foot of Mount Sinai. Who in the hell would want to continue to worship a God like that? But in order to keep from getting all of the nation unalive at the foot of Mount Sinai, Joshua and the Levitical priests went on a rampage that night and unalived 3,000 people in the nation of Israel to appease that bloodthirsty Yahweh that they had agreed to serve when they didn't even know the rules. But to keep all of them from getting slaughtered that night, they did go ahead and kill 3,000 of their own people to appease Yahweh. That's the nature of the God that you come here on this live stream and telling me and all these good people on here that we need to serve. The devil is a lie. And so is Yahweh. Huckleberry 88, they attacking you again? Did you sage your space like you're supposed to? I don't know what to tell you, boo, because you shouldn't be having that kind of activity. If you sage your space and stay away from evil spirits and are actually in prayer and learning something better, you should be getting some relief. I don't know what to tell you. And again, Hebrews is written by Paul, who is the Antichrist. I said Hebrews 11. Go read Hebrews 11 about all of them people. At the end of that book in Hebrews 11, I think it was 40, it tells us not one of the faithful men and women of old that was mentioned in the Bible, not one of them ever saw any of their promises fulfilled. They did not. Well, I ain't gonna say any of them, but they really didn't see their promises fulfilled. After 24 years, Abraham finally got a son. But at that point, Abraham died before his name was made a mighty nation. The nation of Israel still wound up in captivity. You know how I know? Because 500 years later, they had to be rescued up out of Egypt. He did not keep his promise to Abraham. And he didn't give him the promised land because he turned around 500 years later and promised it to the Jews and still didn't give it to them. It was still full of the Nephilim. Joshua and Caleb said that they was afraid there was giants in the land still. Yahweh had been exiled by his own people because he was such a butthole. He had no longer had a land or a people. And he literally found ragtag people that was on the fringes of their own society and then conned them into worshiping him. Abraham had left out of Ur. His father was a scribe in the temple of Nanarsan. Abraham left out of Ur and went trekking across the desert to try to find a piece of land for himself with him and Sarah and his entourage. And they had gotten in such trouble out there that they had to turn around and go back into Egypt because they was about to die from the famine that was going on out there. The Jews had been roaming around in the deserts as nomads and they got captured and was sitting up in captivity. And what did he choose for his spokesman? A murderer who was on the run from the law, from Pharaoh, to go back in there, gave him a little razzle dazzle voodoo stuff to do, throwing the sticks on the ground and turning them into snakes and turning the water into blood and all that. He gave Moses some magic tricks that try to intimidate the Pharaoh to free the nation of Israel on their behalf. But Moses had left Egypt because he had killed one of the king's guards and he was afraid for his life. He was a criminal on the run. This is what humanity is running behind, the choices of men that, sorry, no disrespect to them, but they were not the sharpest tool in the shed, nor were they model citizens. Abraham started out his worship to Yahweh on a lie. He lied and told the Pharaoh that his wife was his sister because he was too much of a punk to tell the truth. And instead of Yahweh protecting him, Yahweh put plagues on the Pharaoh. And Christians sit up and read that story and, oh, that's good, that's good. Why would that be good? When Yahweh sat there and told the nation, told Abraham to go take Isaac up on the mountain and sacrifice him to prove his love. And I done heard preachers sit up and preach on that too. And see, and that was a good thing. And because he proved faithful. But what a horrifyingly sadistic being to put this man through this kind of nonsense. You done promised him this son for 25 years. Now he's 99 years old. Actually, he was over 100 because Isaac wasn't born until Abraham was 99 years old. Isaac was now damn near grown. He was old enough to carry the wood and all the rest of that up the mountain for the sacrifice. And he's even worried, like, Daddy, where's the sacrifice? You said we going up here to worship Yahweh. I don't see where's the burnt offering. And Abraham just telling, don't worry about it. Come on. Yeah, even his son was getting stressed out. And you done had this man, you done told him he got to do this. He's had this weighing on his heart and mind for who knows how long. A 99-year-old man. You done finally blessed him with a son after 24 years of an empty promise. And then when he finally get that son, you tell him, kill him for me. That's not a loving God, people. It's not. No, he wasn't. Yeah, he was there. Guess who else was there before Abraham? Me here too. All the rest of the other Elohim too. Nerta was there. His wife Asherah was there and being worshipped. Baal was there, and he absorbed Baal's energy. He became Baal. He's been known as Beelzebub, Baal. He's been known as Dionysus. He's been known as Bacchus. He was known as Odin. He's been known as Zeus. He's been known as a lot of things, and what none of them good through none of them pantheons. That's what you don't understand. So, yes, he was there before Abraham, but he was not a big capital G invisible sky daddy like Christians tell you. He's an astronaut from Nibiru who came here and dared to play God. He's not God. And his brother told the truth and said that they weren't God. And they understood that his brother understood that what they did was wrong and that they may have to be judged for it one day. But Yahweh been keeping that lie going now for 2,000 years and got y'all out there bowing and scraping and sacrificing to him and everything else on a bunch of demonic nonsense. If Yahweh was the true God, if Yahweh was the true God, 75% of the planet currently worships Yahweh, whether they call him Yahweh as a Jew, or whether they call him Jehovah as a Christian, or whether they call him Allah as a Muslim. 75% of the planet worships Yahweh right now and have been for the last 2,500 years. So if he's the true God, why don't we have peace on this planet? Me here to get you. That's a question Christians, Muslims, and Jews need to ask themselves. If they're serving the right God, why don't they even have peace amongst themselves? There's 45 different factions of Christianity in the United States alone. I don't even know how many factions of Judaism there are or Islam, but I know it's more than one. If he's the correct God, why can't they even agree amongst themselves how to get along? We ain't had planetary peace hardly nowadays since he's been here. But for real, we definitely ain't had none in the last 150, 200 years. There's been a war somewhere on this planet going for 4, 5, 6, 700 years now. If Yahweh is the true God and 75% of the people on this planet claim to worship him, why don't we have peace? Why do we still have hunger? Why do we still have violent crime? That's the question no Christian, Jew, or Muslim can answer. Yeah, Enlil was in exile and he recruited exiles, bro. 100. You're absolutely correct. He took it say that he take the scriptures say that he takes the what is it, the simple things or the rough things or whatever, something in the Bible. But yeah, a ragtag group of people. And humanity celebrates them like they the be all end all. A Jew will get mad and want to chop you off for saying anything about him, and the Muslims can't even say his name with all. I mean, or even Muhammad. And again, peace be upon him, because that's what they expect people to say. But I say Muhammad was misguided. He went on a sabbatical and he went on his meditation thing and all that. But again, Muhammad was an outlier that had the backing of a very wealthy female, so he could go off and do his meditation thing and all of that. But Yahweh singles out outliers. He tried it with Yeshua. When Yeshua got finished, came up out of the water with his baptism, and he went off into the wilderness, what the scriptures say? Oh, Yahweh was right there. Oh, they called him Satan that go around. But he taunted Yeshua the whole time he was going through his initiatory fast under Lord Enki, that 40 days, 40 nights in the wilderness fasting. Yahweh was trying to break his spirit and trying to recruit him, and it did not work. And because it didn't work, he went on a campaign. If he couldn't, like you say, if I can't break him, I'll kill him. If I can't make him serve me, he got to go. Because he was too busy telling Yahweh's followers to stop serving Yahweh. So he had to go as far as Enlil was concerned. Radhika, what kind of help do you need, dear? We're here on the spiritual lessons. If you need tarot help, I am going to be on the channel Anunnaki Oracle Priestess tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and I'll be more than happy to pull some cards for you there. But I won't be pulling tarot on this channel. You say you asked your guys if what your son's experience is a sign of ascension, and you got the Queen of Cups. It could be. I mean, obviously, it's so hard as a parent because you don't know exactly what's going on. But that's what I was about to say. If the doctors can't figure it out and he's not uncomfortable, he's not running fever, and he's not showing any other symptoms, it may just very well be ascension symptoms. Of course, keep an eye on him and make sure he stays well hydrated. You may also want to make sure that he gets outside and gets his bare feet on the ground for 15, 20 minutes a day. Better yet, if you got some place he can safely, I don't know if he has sensory issues, but if he can bear to lay in the grass for 15 or 20 minutes a day and he's not going to get bitten up by ants or whatever, then that might help. And for sure, the sunlight will help him either way, even if he can just sit with his bare feet in the grass outside where he can get him about 15, 20 minutes of sun. Yeah. And you know what is so funny, Antoine, when you was talking about in Hebrew that the sacred, the unspoken, and truthfully, they said that the real translation of that name, if you break it down, it basically is I am whatever I say I am, pretty much. Is, or I am that I am. So he didn't even want to tell people his real name. He didn't tell Abraham his real name. He said, "Who shall I say sent me? Tell him I am who I said I am sent you." What kind of foolishness is that? You gonna up and choose to serve a God that won't even tell you his name? That's why I said no disrespect, but Abraham was not the sharpest tool in the shed. And yet people are steadily bowing to this dragon because Abraham and Moses chose to bow to this dragon. That's the only reason, because they wrote it down somewhere that Abraham and Moses chose to follow Yahweh. It was a whole bunch of other Elohim that they could have chosen from. He was not the only one. Why do you think he said, "You'll have no other gods before my face"? If he was truly the only God, he wouldn't have never had to say that. If he was the only God, why would he have to keep announcing how jealous he is? He said he is a jealous God, and you shall not have any other gods before his face. So truly that lets you know there were other gods that they could have chosen. His brother Enki, everything as hateful as Yahweh is, Enki is the exact opposite. Thoth ruled over the children of Kim much more pleasantly than this for 36,000 years, according to the Sumerian Kings list. Marduk and Yahweh were two of the worst of the Elohim. Marduk later on became known as Amun Ra, and Enlil became known as Yahweh Jehovah. But those two were two of the worst of the Elohim. But there was dozens of them out here. Nanar, Ninurta, all of them. Then, like I said, Asherah, Damkina, Ishtar, Anana, lots of them. Okay, cool, Amanda. Yeah, as long as he's not running fever and he's not complaining about being uncomfortable, I would just keep an eye on him and not worry about it too much. Moloch was most likely an iteration of Marduk, Bro 100. I think he kind of morphed. You know how they start kind of absorbing and morphing each other? I think Moloch kind of stems back to Marduk. That's why I say, and they, uncle and nephew, right there. He was going to kill the entire nation of Israel because they had been worshiping his nephew, and he was trying to hijack them away from Egypt and from worship of his nephew. But he abandoned them to go up in the mountain for 40 days with Moses, and they didn't know whether or not he was coming back or not. So they got scared and wanted to appeal to a God, and they didn't have the rules on how to worship Yahweh yet. So they went back to what they knew and worshiped Moloch. And Yahweh said, "Oh no, y'all gonna die for that." You say you've been in the land of Kim. I'm sure all of us have been in the land of Kim in former lives. We are the children of Kim. That's one of the reasons this information has been so easy for us to accept this go around. We can get it, we can grasp it. You see, some of these good church folks, they coming in here clutching their pearls and their Bibles, and even though I'm reading it directly from the Bible, they cannot hear it, they cannot accept it, they cannot absorb it. But as the former children of Kim, we done did this before. We done been in the mystery schools, in the caves, and the this and the that. This ain't our first rodeo. It was a little bit strange sounding at first, but once we heard it, this word was delicious to it, and we started to take it up like hungry babies. We can hear it because we've heard it before. This isn't new to us. We are the children of Kim, regardless of what color your face is. This go round, like I say, this ain't our first rodeo. We done been here. Again, Latifa, you have to understand the true name of which God. That's what, because the one that actually made us, the one that the Elohim, that's the let us make man in our image. He don't require worship from us. His name is Enki, and he's behind the more Enkiite philosophies, your Buddhism, your Jainism, your Taoism, your Sikhism, those type things that are more philosophy than religion. He doesn't require worship. The one that demands worship is Yahweh, and he's not the true God. He's not the only God. Now, Enki himself said that the one who actually put this planet here, if that's the one's name you're looking for, that being never gave us his name. Enki and all of the Elohim referred to that one as the creator of all. That's all they ever called him, was the creator of all. Now, the creator of all did send his messenger Galzu to speak to Enki on one occasion in the Lost Book, and he came to speak to Enlil on one occasion in the Lost Book. The difference is Enki listened to what Galzu had to say, and that's why we're even still here, because it was the messenger Galzu who gave Enki the information that the creator of all wanted us preserved through the flood, and he gave the dimensions of how to make the vessel to preserve Noah and the other folks that made it through. When the messenger of the creator of all, when Galzu came to Enlil and gave the message to him, Enlil chose to ignore the message of Galzu and allowed Marduk to unleash the evil wind, or the weapon of terror, in part of the Anunnaki war, because Marduk was fighting Ninurta and wanted to, you know, one up him on the earth, but that unleashing the weapon of terror caused the evil wind to flow through most of North Africa and wiped out Sumer, Shurabak, and Eridu all at one time. That's how the Sumerian civilization was destroyed, because of Enlil choosing to ignore the messenger of the creator of all. I'm telling you who the gods. It's not one in the scriptures where it says God capital G. The correct translation should have been Elohim, and Elohim is not a singular word in the Hebrew. It means powerful ones in the plural. And the El Shaddai are the sons of the powerful ones. The only one of them terms that's singular is El Elyon, and that's what Yahweh said he was. That means the destroyer. He told Abraham he was El Elyon. Don't get it twisted. You didn't agree to serve me now. Ain't no take backsies. You better act right, because I'm El Elyon and I'll get you. So there, yes, and there were more than one Elohim. The let us make man in our image, that was Enki, that was Lord Enki. Ninma, who later became known as Ninhursag, who later became known as Isis, and Thoth. His name was Ningish Zeta when he first got here, but he later became known as Thoth. Enki and Ninma are brother and sister. Thoth was Enki's son, and they all came from Nibiru, according to the text that they left behind. Let me see. Hey, unknown 646, you can ask a question. Sure. Well, the script glove 100, in the sense that powerful ones, essence of the Anunnaki, in that sense, yes, we are. Didn't Yeshua say, did I not tell ye are gods? But again, it doesn't mean God don't mean what Christianity has told us it means. That's all. Did Arabs come from Abraham? Possibly, but not really. I mean, listen, the Arab nation, the blending of that, a lot of that stuff came out of, you got to go back to Nebuchadnezzar and the Tower of Babel, when everything got, the scattering of folks out of Kim. The original Egyptians were black. They were not what Arabs look like now. But over time, it doesn't matter. Humans get caught up on the wrong stuff. That part. The skin color of who the Arabs were, or the original Arabs and all that stuff. That's, y'all, most folks want to know that for pecking order, because they still trying to claim to be Jews. Arabs, the Israelites, the Jews today are not the original Jews. And the Arabs today is not the original Egyptians. And I don't know why they won't accept that, but it still doesn't matter. They all branched out from the Anunnaki breeding program when they first came here. Humans have made an issue of skin color and race. It does not matter the way y'all think it matters. You said, why doesn't your ex-friend remember you? Why don't they recognize you no more, Girlie? Because you're on a different timeline and a different reality. I mentioned this before on the channel, and I'm gonna mention it again. You said you've seen an interview about what I'm talking about, and it has thousands of views. There are channels out here that talk about portions of what I've been talking about, Lunar Beats, that have 1 million subscribers or more, but they're looking at it from a slightly different angle than I am. None of those are actually being, like, for example, Billy Carson talks about it from the aspect of the astronaut end of it. Paul Wallace does too, and he brings in a little bit of the biblical piece. But I was brought to this information from Yeshua's standpoint, linking Yeshua up with Lord Enki. So it's the same information, slightly different vantage points. It's another connecting of the dots. It's just that my channel is small. And I don't, I'm not a Billy Carson or a Paul Wallace. I haven't written books and become famous and all that other stuff yet. Who knows? It might happen one day. We'll see. Unknown 646, again, at the end of the day, what difference does it make? It only matters to folks who the initial Arabs and the Jews are, because they still over there fighting over a piece of land that Yahweh promised them and never gave them. That's the only reason it still matters to y'all. To be real, that's the only reason. I'm past that. I'm not talking about race or nationality or who gave away that little strip of land. I'm talking about who came here in the very beginning, how we got here. Who gives a damn about who belongs to that little piece of land? I'm talking about how humans got here all together. The ones that came off of the spaceship, modified the hominid that they found here, and they gave us their DNA to create Homo sapiens sapiens. We were somewhere Australopithecus when they got here. We weren't Homo anything. They shorted the evolutionary timeline on this planet by at least 2 or 3 million years by hybridizing us with their DNA. So who the Arabs are and who the Jews are, who gives a rat's booty at the end of the day? That's some racist, non-nationalistic nonsense that's way beyond what it's like I said, we on a whole different conversation. It's way above that. And I ain't trying to be funny, but I don't have time to worry about petty racism because it's stupid. But yeah, Gerline, back to what I was saying. Now we've since kind of parted the ways for some different reasons, but I had a friend of mine that I've been friends with for about 15, 16 years. And through the course of me knowing her for about 10 of those 15 or 16 years, she had a running story that people would ask her about her name because her name was very unusual. Her first name in and of itself was Dusty, which was fine. But her married name, she married somebody named Outlaw. So when she showed up somewhere and say her name is Dusty Outlaw, people want to know, is that really your name? And whatever. And she would explain to them how she got her name Dusty. For 10 years, I have been hearing her tell the story about how her mother was a Dusty Springfield fan and she was named after the singer Dusty Springfield. Okay. About 3 years ago, I don't even know how we got on the subject of names and this, that, or the other, but I was sitting out on the patio talking to her on the phone because she's in Virginia now. But I was sitting out on the patio talking to her on the phone, and we got on the subject of names, and it came up. All of a sudden, she don't know what the heck I'm talking about. We almost got in an argument about it. She swore up and down that she didn't even know who Dusty Springfield was. She was named after the wrestler Dusty Rhodes. Now, when other people had asked her, I was present in person with her on other occasions when people asked her if she was named after Dusty Rhodes, and she told me no. But in 2022, when we had that conversation, she said that her daddy was a wrestling fan. And at one point, he got a chance to meet Dusty Rhodes, and they didn't become great friends, but they was kind of speaking friends or acquaintances at some point. And he liked the name, and that's where she got her name from. Her entire experience has changed. We're on a different timeline. So that's why your friend don't remember you no more. My daughter, my youngest daughter, has a completely different memory of what happened in our house than any of her brothers or sisters or me have, and she was bitterly angry with me about it to the point that we didn't speak for almost 3 years over it. You said, "How can you know what, Latifa?" You worried about the wrong thing, and that's the thing. We've been told that we must know the one God. That's again, that's some Yahweh nonsense. The only reason you feel the push to absolutely know the name of the one quote unquote true God is because Yahweh told you that. The actual name of the creator of all, he has chosen not to disclose it to us. So who are we to stamp our foot like petulant children and demand to know it if he has chosen to not? That's like saying you ain't gonna listen to your parents because you want to go back 10 generations and speak to your great 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 grandfather. And if you can't do that, and they've been dead for the last 1,000 years, but if you can't speak to them, then you're not gonna listen to the parents that's right in front of you. That's petulant. We don't need to know the name of the creator of all if he's chosen not to let us know. We need to figure out this part about that, like I said, how we got here, and listen to that story. If we can't absorb that story, our consciousness is never going to be able to get out there 4 billion years out there into the cosmos. We can't even handle what happened for the last couple of 100,000 years on this planet, even though they're constantly digging up the information and trying to tell us. We would still rather hold on to a 1,700-year-old lie than to listen to the text from the stuff that's 30 or 40,000 years here. So why in the world would the creator of all even be bothered? Our consciousness ain't ready for that conversation, respectfully, but we're just not. You're welcome, unknown. Good. Yeah, big love to you too. Because again, as far as I'm concerned, if these people would stop all of the race stuff, we could all get along. Black, brown, yellow, red, white, orange. I don't care. We all came from the same people. What difference does it make? They started drawing lines in the sand, and what now they got the flags flying overhead, and the human governments got us in this mindset of we've got to pay allegiance to the flag that flies over our heads. And over thousands of years of separatism, we've managed to coalesce our gene pools into these specific nationalities and races. But it still doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we all Anunnaki, period. If you got enough intelligence left in your system right now, and consciousness in your system right now, to be holding a phone, understanding this conversation, and you still got opposable thumbs and all of that, you got Anunnaki blood in you, period. You have to. Latifah, how God gonna tell you the voice and you don't even know? You know what? Maybe you are the voice, but before you get out there and be a voice, you need to learn, sit down somewhere and do your homework and learn what you're voicing. Because other than that, you'll be a clashing cymbal, like Yeshua said. Okay? That part. Because trust and believe, it took me some time to get to this point where I'd be willing to get out here and speak the way I am when he let me know I'm supposed to be a voice. There's a lot of us that are being called to be a voice, but you need to know what you're talking about before you just jump out there and be a voice, okay? And if you don't know none of what I'm talking about now, then you need to go sit down and learn, do your homework and learn some of this stuff, because I promise you, Yeshua was the one that set me up with all of this. Hey, Stanley Ross, how are you? Hey, Cicero de Brito, how are you? I don't speak, I don't know if that's Spanish, Italian, I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't speak that. We come from Adam, truthfully, kind of, sort of, but not really. We all come sort of from Adam, but more accurately, we all come from Adapa and Titi at this point. The Adamic line, according to the Lost Book of Enki, the Adam and Eve's line began to devolve rapidly, unknown, and Enki chose to shore up our genome by introducing even more of his DNA into the line. He selectively mated with several humans while he was here, and there were two females named Dawn and Dusk that he mated with, and they bore children named Adapa and Titi, and they are known as the first civilized humans, because about 100,000 years after Adam and Eve's bloodline was introduced, after the creation of Adam and Eve, the genome had started to slip again. We were devolving too rapidly. So we came from Adam and Eve and Adapa and Titi. And I know these are some, I mean, the concepts, it's not hard. It just is about being able to step away from the religious programming, because that's all it is. If you had been taught, is it, oh, I don't know. He may be from Brazil, but like I said, I can't, he gonna need to use he or she, or Cicero is a male name, but he gonna need to use a translator. I know it's talking about something about God and ascension or illumination, but yeah, I don't know. Oh, well, okay. And that's, like I said, God is illuminating me. Yeshua is illuminating me. But if that's all he got to say, then he can go on about his business. Because I'm definitely not going to take the time to run that through a translator to listen to him out here trying to proselytize. And he might want to go, if since you speak, well, if that's Brazilian, I'm not sure. Well, no, because Mauro Bellino is Italian. I was about to say there's plenty of folks that'll tell you the same thing, and they're Bible translators who are and theologians and theosophists who've been studying this stuff for decades now. Look at the work of Mauro Bellino. Go look at the work of Paul Wallace, and I'm sure most of us are familiar with Billy Carson. Myth Vision podcast. Astronaut was the Ancient Astronaut Archive will tell you some of this stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of them. If you want to translate Antoine, you can, because again, I got my tablet here. I'm just not going to take the time. I'm just looking at the comments. If I stop and start running that translator thing, I wind up getting way behind in the comments. What about the Ring of God, Latifa? Is that some Catholic? Is that some Catholic stuff? Because you can't really tell. I mean, if it has anything at all to do with Catholicism, I need for you to open your eyes and understand that Catholicism, that is where Christianity, that's the birthplace of Christianity, but it is also a very satanic Luciferian organization in nature because Yahweh is Satan. They don't even try to hide it in the Catholic Church. So the ring of God, I'm not sure exactly what that is. If that's something that you're referring to that has something to do with any of the Christian religions, then if it's of Yahweh, it's of the devil. That's what Jesus said anyway, or Yeshua. He directly said in John chapter 8 that Yahweh is the devil. So it ain't no more what about or nothing after that. People don't need to go no further than that. If they understood that, he said, you don't know my father. My father that sent me is not the same father that y'all are worshiping. If you knew my father is love. He said, you don't know my father. You worship your father, the devil. Why do people need to keep arguing past that? It don't get no plainer than that. Yeshua told the Jews that the God that they were worshiping is the devil. And people still arguing against it 2,000 years later. When the Messiah himself said it and they refused to listen to him. And now people that come as agents of the Messiah and they're telling you that they're getting their information from the Messiah, and you still argue to try to continue worshiping the devil. That's why I say I put the information out here. I'm not going to argue with nobody about it. Worship him if you want to. But I won't, as for me and my household, no, I ain't doing that. I'm making a different choice because I understand that Abraham and Moses chose very, very poorly. Hold on a second. It said that the ring of God, this is something old school RuneScape. This is some kind of darn game stuff, whatever. I ain't, yeah, okay. I'm over here talking about something serious, and you over here talking about some kind of darn video game or something. And even in the Bible, it said in the text, Solomon receives A supernatural ring from the Archangel Michael. Using the power of the ring, Solomon summons a full register of demons and takes authority over them by discerning their association and trampling through them through the invocation of angels and magical powers. But it also needs, you need to understand, I don't even know, honestly, I've questioned that whether or not the Michael that the Satanists call or is the same Michael that's on Team Inky, because I don't believe they are. There's some that have repeat names in there. Everything that Inky got, the devil got a set of it too. Y'all should know that. They preach that in Christianity. So from what I just looked up, though, you talking about, when I typed in the Ring of God, it talks about something in RuneScape said to bring the wearer close to the gods, but that's playing with some nonsense that you wouldn't even want to be bothered with. Did he mess with any Anunnaki? Probably Satan, Lucifer, whatever they doing. Look, all of that loose harvesting and all of the ritual stuff that they do, then people are involved in serious black magic. There ain't no reason to do all of the stuff that he was doing to people unless it was some black magic involved or something. But again, all Anunnaki aren't bad and all Anunnaki aren't good either. Some are team Inky and some are team Enlil. And I think it's very clear to see which side of the issue Diddy would be on, because that's pure evil stuff. That's not even regular stuff regular people would come up with on their own. The stuff that they describe with all of those um, rituals and things that they was doing, it really seemed like he was taking some nasty direction from some other places. Hey, CC, welcome back. You said, what about the Act book? Okay. um the book of Acts, first of all, it ain't just Acts, honey. It's Matthew, Mark, Luke, Acts, Romans. Basically almost 90% of the New Testament was written by the Apostle Paul. Now, I'm not sure whether Paul wrote Matthew, Mark, and Luke, but I know Matthew, Mark, and Luke didn't write them. And you know how I know that? Because if you stop and look, one of the things that I noticed when Yeshua had me go back into the scriptures, let's go around and start reading it. When I was looking at that whole idea, I couldn't figure out why in the world would they have been told to do that whole Last Supper thing with the drinking of the blood, the wine to represent his blood, and the eating of the bread, the unleavened bread to represent his flesh. That's a ritual. That is a blood ritual that's being enacted. It's a cannibalistic ritual that they're enacting. So I was like, why would Yeshua tell people to do that? And when I went back and read all of those gospel accounts, I don't think Yeshua actually said that. If you look at go in Google even and type in when the book of Acts was written, when Matthew, when Mark, when Luke were written, all of those books were written anywhere between 70 and 110 years after Yeshua was supposed to have been unalived off the planet. First question: if you were right there, Yeshua's right hand man, and you witnessed all of this stuff go down, why would you wait 70 to 100 years later to write about it? That's the first question. And if you did choose to wait 70 to 100 years to write about it, what's the likelihood that all three of them would write the same exact account, the same exact way, verbatim, word for word, 100 years later? Would never happen. We've all played that game telephone in a classroom. You literally cannot tell. You can say, in standing in real time, you can't say one sentence and repeat it down the line past 5 or 6 people before it gets adulterated and becomes something else. So the fact that Matthew, Mark, and Luke all give the same account of the Last Supper, the same exact way, word for word, tells me that that's not something Yeshua ever said. That's something they chose to put in there for effect. Now, the one thing they do have to tell you in real Luciferian fashion is they hide the truth in plain sight. So there is some value in that account, and with the value in the Last Supper story is that part they put in there with about telling the disciples to go to the gate, and the light, the cupbearer, the man with the jug of water, would bear the way. That was pointing to Aquarius. Lord Enki is the quintessential Aquarius. And Yeshua pointed to a time in the future that he would be coming back. He said he would not leave us as orphans, that Holy Spirit would be sent to us as a helper in that day, that we would see those signs. And this is that time, little Ed, you're correct. The Christians got that part right, in my opinion. The presbyters, not the presbyters, the Millerites were looking for Yeshua's return in 1844. And when it didn't physically happen, they called it the Great Disappointment. The Millerites and the Seventh day Adventists were looking for that. Excuse me. But if you start to see, excuse me, how spirituality started shifting, even if you just look at the United States, if you start looking at how spirituality started shifting in the mid 1800s, it started back there with Joseph Smith. But Joseph Smith in 1830, he was on some crackpot nonsense, and I ain't gonna lie. A lot of them were, but he was kind of way far out there, because you can't truly promote racism and be spiritual. You just can't. So, sorry, not sorry. The Mormons is on some other ish, because he got them people believing that black people supposed to be slaves, and that if they give up all their worldly pleasures and all this stuff on this end, that they gonna get a whole planet full of virgins when they get to the other side. Who the hell would want a whole planet full of virgins? And that doesn't give any account to what the virgins might want. There ain't no man on the top side of this planet that's so fabulous that an entire planet full of women would want to share one man. That's warped thinking, but spirit can only operate through the lens of what is given. But when I look at those other books, Latifa, the like I said, Matthew, Mark, and Luke were written obviously by the same person. We don't know if it was Paul or not, but it wasn't Matthew, Mark, or Luke, most likely. But the rest of the New Testament, the Gospel of John most likely was written by John. That was Yeshua's cousin. And we have an account in Matthew that tells us that Gabriel came to Zechariah and Elizabeth and told them that he was not going to be a regular baby, that he was going to be the Elohim's baby, and that he was going to eat a special diet, but he was basically going to pave the way for the one that will be coming, Yeshua. And when Elizabeth was 6 months pregnant with John, who became John the Baptist, then later on, Gabriel came back and told Mary the same thing. You're going to get pregnant, but it's not going to be Joseph's baby. It's the Elohim's baby. And yeah, James was his brother. Yeshua had, and this is the part, but they don't play that up, because they try to hold to that virgin birth thing. That was not a virgin birth. I think Mary had about 10 or 11 children, and Yeshua was somewhere in the middle. They were high esteemed mystics. They knew that there was going to be a sacred birth happening. Spirit had declared that to them. And at the time when they were looking to see who it was coming through, there were several several couples in that community that became celibate until Spirit made it clear who the child would be coming through. And then Gabriel let them know that it would be coming through Mary and Joseph. And they carried on and went on about their business. It is 11th September, Mateus, and welcome, welcome. Our Father, if you want to look at it that way, I can tell you, when you're saying we have Father, you're still looking for someone to worship. We do have a father. Our progenitor is Lord Enki, not Enlil. Okay? Enlil is the one who was known as Zeus and Odin and Bacchus and Dionysus and Baal and Beelzebub and Yaldabaoth. Lord Enki is known as Loki, Poseidon, Olokun, Ptah, and Shiva. Okay, so Lord Enki does not want us to worship him. He wants us to cooperate or respect and obey, but not worship like Enlil. Enlil wanted all that bowing and scraping and tithing and all that. Enki don't want all of that. He wants us to know the truth, and he wants us to expand our consciousness to our full potential, which we cannot do as long as we stay in a subservient place, bowing and scraping in worship, believing that we're not worthy. That whole thought of unworthiness was a trap of the mind to keep us enslaved mentally so that we could not expand our consciousness and reach our full potential. That is why Enlil he's also selfish and jealous, and he told us all of those things, but he demands worship. His brother Enki does not demand worship. He wants us to reach our potential and be their progeny, their relatives. Enlil never saw us as relatives. He hated the fact that we have their DNA. He just saw us as slaves and animals and wanted us disposed of after we had dug their gold. He wanted us destroyed. But Enki has actual love for us because we have his literal DNA. He made it with humans to create us. At first, it was done in the petri dishes in the laboratories and all of that. But there came a time when since they did create us in their image somewhat, that he physically made it with humans to shore up our genome. He actually has love for us. Enlil never did that. You said want to be calling you, well, Hanuman and the different traditions and all of that. Again, in the lost book, it does not tell us that we came from monkeys. It just says that it was a hominid. Now, whether that hominid was a primate, we don't know. It just says that he modified a hominid. Probably he did enough of it. He was look, Inky, look. And you ain't gonna get on my papa because I love me some Inky. You hear what I say? But he was a whoremonger. He was. He just really, really was. He had a baby for his wife, for his sister, for dawn and dusk, for some old folks. Inky was a whoremonger. Sorry. Their morality is not like ours. They didn't have no problem with that. Ninhursag, Isis, had a baby for both of her brothers, for Enki and Enlil. She had a baby for each one of them. And none of them saw a problem with that. Have I seen black love movies? That ain't got nothing to do with what we have in the conversation we have in here, but okay. I mean, obviously they did, because even the Watchers had a good time. They created all them monsters out of it. But the difference is, you have to remember, Enki, being a geneticist, was particular about how and when and where and whom he made it. You said, what do you say? If we don't know what we believe, I know what I believe. You the one don't know what you believe, Latifa. But I said, if you think you said you were being called to be a mouthpiece, then I said you need to go somewhere and do your homework so you know what you believe. I know very well what I believe. But I also know what he said in those books. And if you haven't read the ancient texts, you ain't gonna know what you believe if all you ever read is the Bible, because you being spoon fed a lie. The Bible was manipulated. There was way more text than they dug up out the ground in those 66 books that they tell you make up the Bible. We're told that the Bible is the inspired word of God, that it's infallible, that it's good for teaching and reproving and for setting things straight. That's the hype that the church gave you. The truth of the matter is, they're ancient text that was dug up out the ground. Some of them are Anunnaki texts in origin, and then some of them, like I said, the New Testament, they wrote that on the fly to construct this new religion that they were trying to drive in a particular direction. The Old Testament are ancient texts that they manipulated, and they didn't translate those purely either. Like I said, that whole God thing and Elohim, they did not translate those. That's why a lot of those translations tell you they're versions. They're not pure translations, they are versions of those scriptures. But the ancient, like I said, the Old Testament at least came from texts that were older than Christianity. But the New Testament forward, the second half of the Bible, all of that stuff came along after Yeshua was gone off of this earth. Even if they didn't unalive him when they said they did, the longest estimate anybody I've ever heard say that some say he lived to be like age 40, some say he lived to be like age 84. But either way, most of the New Testament came along after he was already gone off the earth and had been gone off the earth for several decades. They made that stuff up and knit him in there literally like the hero of a myth. And that's one of the things that get me. Christianity harps on the idea of mythology, when in truth the real mythology on this planet is Christianity. Because they took a real figure and then they whitewashed the horrific story of how they chose to kill him and turned it into a hero's tale in order to drive Yahwism, to morph Yahwism into Jehovah worship. They literally shifted Yahweh into this new God, but it's the same being. But again, Yahweh literally has morphed and adopted many names over time through the different pantheons. You said, did Tiamat create the dinosaurs? Maybe. Because it said that Tiamat, there was the planet Tiamat and then the being Tiamat, but it is said that Tiamat was a dragon, so it is very possible that Tiamat had come to Earth before, because you got to remember, before the planet blew up, the asteroid belt wouldn't have been there, so Tiamat would have been free to come to Earth however she wanted to, and they've got proof that dinosaurs were here, so very well could have been. Or they could have been beings from another planetary system, or the creator of all could have put them there. We don't have a written record as to how and why the dinosaurs got here per se. Why do you say that, Antoine? Yeah, they are dragons basically, and that's the part. That's why I say people, and there are too many cultures on this planet that talk about dragons. We know they're not mythical because, like I said, they are dragons. They are dinosaurs. We had a whole bunch of different species. We got museums around the planet that's chock full of replications of them to this day. And Lord only knows if they done already cloned 3 dire wolves in captivity. Ain't no telling whether or not they probably gonna have a real Jurassic Park for us. They're probably cooking that up right now. Oh, okay. The kid from Game of Thrones. I don't know about Game. What was that? What was that? Was that the game? Yeah, I guess it was Game of Thrones with Khaleesi and all of them. I never watched the whole series. I just saw like bits and pieces of it here and there. Oh, y'all, I said I was gonna get up off of here at 11. It's 11:12 right now. I didn't even realize that because I mean, it's been very light on the troll end. We actually got some real teaching in here and encouragement for some folks. So, wow. And again, if you're not ready to hear the truth, Latifa, that's why I said I can only teach whether you choose to hear or not, whether you choose to go do the research and find these things out to be true or not. That's on you. It's a lot of folks that are not ready to hear it. I get Christians and Jews and Muslims in here. Or what? Honestly, I don't think I've had that many Jews that want to argue against what's being said here. But I get a lot of folks that come in here and don't want to hear what's being said, and I tell them, don't believe me. You ain't got to believe me. I hope you took some notes and can go look it up for yourself and do your homework. That's all. That's all. So you talking about you know who you sound as Lord who love you. You can spew all of the Christian rhetoric or Muslim rhetoric or whatever you want, you whatever you was taught in Sunday school. But if you don't go somewhere and expand your mind past the church approved information, you gonna stay lost, 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 and stuck, stuck, stuckity stuck. So I encourage you, whatever you believe and whoever you sound on, whoever you think is the Lord who love you, I encourage you to go look it up, watch a few podcasts, documentaries, audio books, whatever it is. Pray in earnest about it. Ask Yeshua to show you the way and actually go do your homework, okay? Because I'm not making this stuff up. I don't put myself out here on Front Street to be ridiculed and talked about for free. I don't do that just because I just want to go and mislead people. I was very careful about not wanting to speak on this until I knew what I was talking about because I don't want to mislead people. Absolutely, Paul. Yeah, have a great night. All of y'all, little Ed, Antoine, Niana, Stephen. Like she said, Stephen said, we family in here. If you don't like it, go away. Yep. But I do wish you well, Latifa. I hope you'll stick around and learn some things. But if you don't, that's up to you. But yeah, everyone that's joined us, have a beautiful rest of your evening. CC, Lil Ed, Lil Bro 100, all of you. I'm gonna jump up off of here because I gotta. I'm gonna be on live tomorrow at 11 a.m. doing tarot, so I gotta get some rest. Good night, Valerie. I wasn't aware you were still in here. And Jilly, hey, welcome, welcome. But yeah, it's time for me to get up out of here because you know what time it is. The troll's gonna really be up in here in a minute too. But yeah, I will see you all, the ones that can make it to Anunnaki Oracle Priestess tomorrow for tarot. I'll see you there at 11 a.m. Eastern. And other than that, we'll be back here on, wait a minute, tonight is Thursday. We'll be back here 11 a.m. on Saturday for those that can join us live here. Have a beautiful rest of your evening. I love you so much. Mwah. Big old hugs. Peace and blessings to you, soul family. Namaste.